Chapter 126, Profiteer. Chapter 126, Profiteer. Chen Zhao walked over to Raz. He had his own stall too. When he looked up and saw Chen Zhao, he was obviously surprised, but his expression quickly turned enthusiastic. Respected living lord, welcome. When Raz saw Jessica beside Chen Zhao, he started sweating. Jessica gave him too much pressure. This banshee's aura was too scary. She had a reputation too. In Obsidian City, Jessica was known as a vicious woman. Raz, what a coincidence to run into you when I'm shopping. Haha, yeah, what a coincidence. Living lord, how come you're here? I was invited by the lord, Chen Zhao replied. He is a respected guest of the lord, Jessica said, looking down. Raz, I bought some things while shopping earlier. Can you check if I was scammed? Chen Zhao took out many local specialties of hell from his spatial ring. When Raz saw these things, it was like he'd been struck by lightning. He froze in his spot. Raz finally realized that Chen Zhao was here to punish him. Living lord, I. Chen Zhao narrowed his eyes at Raz. Is there anything else you want to say? Raz turned and ran, ducking into the crowd of people. He didn't even want his stall anymore. He just wanted to get away from Chen Zhao. Jessica glanced at Chen Zhao. Should I grab him back for you? Yes. Jessica shot into the air. A few minutes later, she carried the limp Raz back and tossed him down before Chen Zhao. Raz seemed to be under some spell. His body was like jelly and couldn't stand up. Chen Zhao squatted down before him. Raz, I'm very disappointed in you. I'd thought that we could establish a long-term and steady relationship, but you took advantage of the fact that I don't know Hell's market price. You sold everything to me 100 times more expensive. Living lord, you are the most benevolent man I've met before, Raz pleaded. I'm sorry. I am willing to return all of your demonic crystals. Please forgive me. Living lord, how many demonic crystals has he scammed from you? Around 100 years' worth. Jessica's eyes glinted. She wasn't surprised with Raz's greed. Instead, she was surprised that Chen Zhao had so many demonic crystals, and if he didn't accidentally learn of the true prices, he might keep getting scammed. How dare you? Jessica kicked the limp Raz. You even dare to cheat the living lord of so many demonic crystals. You'll never be able to pay it all back. The demonic crystals are still here. They're still here. I can return them all. That's unnecessary. You can use your products to pay me back in the future. To be honest, Chen Zhao was furious, but he still needed a steady supply source. If he killed Raz, he would have to find another source. Raz wouldn't dare to cheat him anymore. After all, Chen Zhao still had his demonic ritual implement. This meant that Chen Zhao had the advantage. If Raz dared to cheat him again, Chen Zhao could use the ritual implement to summon him into the human world and punish him. There was no contract relationship when summoning a demon with a ritual implement. Thus, Chen Zhao had no restrictions when summoning Raz. He wouldn't get punished at all if he killed Raz. However, if he killed Raz, he would need to find an even more reliable source. The new supplier might be even worse than Raz or give him the ritual implement. It was better to keep Raz around. With the ritual implement, he wouldn't pull any more tricks. As for the price, Chen Zhao was honestly angry. However, it was a voluntary trade. Chen Zhao wasn't familiar with the market price, so he couldn't blame people for cheating him. Of course, there wasn't anything about fair trade in hell. Whoever had more power would have more rights. Right now, Chen Zhao was in charge. Jessica, what spell is he under? The weak curse. Should I undo it? Yes. Living lord, do you use demonic crystals to trade with him? Yes. Living lord, 100 soul fragments can be exchanged for 1 year's worth of demonic crystals in the market, but demonic crystals are actually much more valuable than that. Some demons even accept 2 times the price. Why is there such a big difference? Technically, the market price and actual price shouldn't be too different. An average of 20% in difference was normal, but 2 times the price was hard to understand. Demonic crystals can extend most demons' lives, but soul fragments are only food. So, do you think the market can determine the value of demonic crystals? This meant that the price Raz charged Chen Zhao was far more than 200 times the price. It may even be more than 300 times higher. Qin Zhao glanced at Raz and huffed coldly. He didn't know the price before, but now he did. He'd make sure Raz would suffer in future trade. But at the moment, Raz was still irreplaceable. Chen Zhao had quite a few ritual implements from all sorts of demons, but only Raz was focused on trade. Not everyone that went between the human world and hell could be merchants. Merchants also had to have a clear mind. For example, if Chen Zhao switched his position with Raz, he might not be able to run the trade better than Raz. This was why Chen Zhao wouldn't change his trade partner unless he had no other choice. However, remembering how he'd thought Raz's price was fair, he felt bitterly disappointed. As expected, demons couldn't be trusted. He walked through the market. He saw many interesting things, but most were only interesting. They didn't have much use. Raz followed behind Chen Zhao cautiously. Rather than Chen Zhao, he was afraid of Jessica. He was finally freed when Chen Zhao got bored. When he first came to this demon city, he found everything fresh and interesting. But after walking around a bit, he realized it was just the same old thing. It was just like how he'd fantasized about America, but after arriving, he realized it wasn't much. Interest in new things came quickly and left quickly as well. To Chen Zhao, hell was just a chaotic place. However, there was a unique order within the chaos. Chapter 127, Next lesson will still be physical resistance training. Chapter 127, Next lesson will still be physical resistance training. By the time Chen Zhao returned to the human world, one day had already passed. He walked out from the basement and realized that Fei Lai was home. Don't you have to work today? Today's my rest day. Fei Lai was lying on the sofa with a few cans of beer on the table before her. Fei Lai's attire at home was always so casual. She had a loose pair of shorts which could display her long legs to the fullest and a white shirt that was a few sizes bigger. She did not seem to be wearing a bra. This was one benefit of sharing a house with a beautiful lady. Chen Zhao could enjoy a pleasant view at any time. If a well-built man were lying on the sofa instead, the scene would be completely different. Have you been in the basement all this while? Chen Zhao stretched himself and grabbed a can of beer. What happened to your hand? Realizing that Chen Zhao's hand was bandaged, Fei Lai asked subconsciously, did something happen? Stop imagining. Chen Zhao rolled his eyes. Chen Zhao had no idea what devastating scenes Fei Lai had in her mind. Nonetheless, he was not going to explain anything. After all, it would be awkward if he told her that he had injured his hand during a baby delivery. Therefore, he would rather maintain his mysteriousness before Fei Lai. Chen Zhao did not avoid Fei Lai either. He started changing the bandage in front of her. Although only one day had passed, his wound had almost recovered. A terrifying bite mark was still visible, but the wound had fully scabbed. What were you bitten by? You wouldn't want to know it. Chen Zhao exercised his hand. He felt that something was hiding in his palm. However, he could not feel anything unusual from the outside. Chen Zhao was clueless about what Beelzebub Zophi had given him for helping his wife. Chen, what are you doing? You've been staring at your own hand for 10 minutes already. Fei Lai's voice interrupted Chen Zhao's thoughts. Rolling his eyes, he said, Isn't it obvious? I was daydreaming. Just then, Chen Zhao's phone rang. He picked the call up. Hello? Chen, you didn't attend the lesson today. Oh, sorry, I was busy with work. If you have work next time, you better inform me in advance so that I won't spend 2 hours just waiting for you. Right? The next lesson will still be physical resistance training. This is revenge. You said there would only be one physical resistance training session. I'm busy. Bye. Ignoring Chen Zhao's complaint, Gaia hung up at once. Chen Zhao was stunned. Fuck. This female gorilla is really revengeful. Didn't I miss one lesson only? What a specific revenge. Sienna. Who's this? David returned from the police station and saw an unfamiliar lady in the living room. He recalled Sienna had indeed told him the previous day that a friend was going to stay over for a few days. Chris, my friend. I told you yesterday. Hi, I'm Chris Ackerman. Hi. Your name is somewhat familiar. David. What an outdated trick, Sienna said with her face darkening. No, I actually find it familiar. I think I've heard it before. David tried his best, but still could not recall where he had heard this name. If you want to chase a lady, you need to learn from Chin. I heard that he knows many beautiful ones, Sienna said. She had been in contact with four, so she knew some things about Chen Zhao. Chin? Do you mean an Asian doctor? Chris asked. Huh, do you know Chin as well? Sienna was rather surprised. What a small world. Oh yeah, I remember. Chris Ackerman. I heard this name from Chin. He asked me to look for you, David exclaimed. Chin's looking for me? Why? He said that you're in trouble, David replied. Has your problem been solved? I don't think he can solve my problem, Chris said, disheartened. Chris, maybe he'll have a solution, Sienna said in a serious tone. Will he? Isn't he a doctor? Yes, a doctor, but he's also a spiritualist. While he claims to be an amateur, he's actually very powerful, at least better than me, Sienna said. Perhaps you can ask for his help? David was energized by the conversation at once. Chris, did you encounter an evil spirit? Chin's powerful, really powerful. He can definitely help you. Let's call him now. It's none of your business. Why are you so excited? Sienna rolled her eyes at David. How is it none of my business? Chin asked me to tell him once I have any information about Ms. Chris. Sienna looked at Chris. Chris, what do you say? Chun, can he really help me? If even he can't solve the problem, I wouldn't be able to help you either. He's your only hope. David moved closer to Chris and Sienna. Trying his best to contain his excitement, he asked, Miss Chris, what's troubling you? Sienna pointed at the table. David turned his head around and saw a mirror on the table. It's a mirror? You don't say. We can see that it's a mirror. Is there something special about it? David took the mirror and inspected it curiously. I didn't find anything unusual about the mirror either. But yesterday morning, I broke it myself. You broke the mirror? It looks perfectly undamaged. That's the key. Something seems to be hidden in this strange mirror, and Chris has been haunted by this thing. She said it's her ex-boyfriend, and that he would appear every night. I stayed up for the whole of last night and didn't see a thing, but Chris said that her ex-boyfriend did appear. Did you fall asleep? David looked at Sienna. Sienna had two very obvious dark patches below her eyes. What do you think? I've been with Chris all the time, but she fell asleep. At first, I thought that nothing happened, but Chris said that her ex-boyfriend tried to attack her in her dream. Is it an evil spirit? Can evil spirits enter a person's dream? I'm not sure. While evil spirits have a multitude of peculiar abilities, I've never heard of any that can enter a person's dream. You don't have a solution either? Not for now. Therefore, we have to ask Chen for help. He will have a solution. David was clearly fully confident of Chen Zhao. Chris looked at Sienna. Although Sienna was somewhat unwilling, she still nodded her head. He's your last hope. Chapter 128, Champion of Almost Dying, Dell. Chapter 128, Champion of Almost Dying, Dell. Fei Lai, I didn't think your cooking would be this good. Qin Zhao looked at the big platter of Cobb salad that Fei Lai brought out. Cobb salad was different from the European salads with vegetables and fruit. It was unique to California, containing vegetables, fruits, and meat. After pairing it with dressing and seasonings, it had a unique taste. As a Chinese man, Chun Zhao usually judged and looked down on foreign food. It was like the famous movie quote, I'm not targeting anyone, it's just that everyone here is garbage. But after really getting to know foreign food culture, he realized that foreign food wasn't as sad as people thought. Chun Zhao never liked salad because it was too vegetarian. He was a carnivore. This Cobb salad, though, paired meat with vegetables just right. It had both the chewiness of meat and the fresh taste of fruit and vegetables. With the dressing, it could satisfy most people. Cobb salad is actually really easy. You can do it after trying once or twice. The recipe isn't set either. It's mostly just the dressing and seasoning. This is our family's specialty. Try the blueberry dressing. Chun Zhao dipped a piece of chicken in the dressing. Oh, it's sour and sweet. Tastes good. He wasn't a food critic, so he couldn't describe the taste with those fancy adjectives. He just thought it was good. Paired with some iced beer, it was an enjoyment even in December. LA didn't have drastic differences in temperature between the seasons, but it was quite different throughout the day. Mornings and nights would be cooler while noon could be more than 70 degrees. Just then, Chun Zhao's phone rang. He kept eating, ignoring the phone. Fei Lai glanced at Chun Zhao, but he really didn't want to answer. The phone kept ringing, so Chun Zhao had to admit that he'd already seen the caller ID. It was Dell. I hope it's not work. Chun Zhao answered the call. Hi. Chin, please come. It was Tsura's choked cries. Please, hurry. Tsura? What happened to you? What's wrong? It's Dell. Something happened. Please come. I'm begging you, hurry. Okay. I'm coming. Tsura sounded really panicked and she was crying too. It was obvious that Dell's problem was serious. Chun Zhao was no longer unwilling. He couldn't keep waiting here either. You have work? Yes. Can you drive me? My patient has an emergency. Okay. Let me wash my hands. Fei Lai agreed quickly. Fei Lai watched as Chun Zhao brought the pets onto the car. Chun, why do you always bring them when you visit your patients? I'm worried about them if no one's home, Chun Zhao said. Drive faster. I'm worried about the patient. The phone rang again, but it wasn't Tsura. The caller ID said David. Hi, David. Chun, I found the person you're looking for. The person I'm looking for? Oh, you mean Chris? Yes. She's right beside me. I think she's in trouble. I'm busy right now. A patient's life is at risk. I have to hurry over. When can you come back? Not sure. How's Chris right now? She seems stable, but I think she's pretending to be composed. I think she's really scared. What about Sienna? Is she there? You can have her help. Sienna is powerless too? I see. Take her to my home first and wait for me to get back. Fei Lai isn't home either. She's driving me to the patient. The key is under the rug before the door. Okay, Sienna and I will bring Chris to your home. After he hung up, Fei Lai asked, What's wrong? Was it David? Yes. What happened? One of my friends is in some trouble. Some trouble? I don't know how troublesome that trouble is right now. 30 minutes later, Chun Zhao and Fei Lai finally got to Dell's home. Tsura, I'm at the door, Chun Zhao said, calling her again. Fei Lai glanced at the door. Your patient is rich? Super rich, Chun Zhao replied simply. No wonder you're in a hurry. Chun Zhao pursed his lips. He couldn't deny that this was part of the reason. Dell paid him $3,000 every time. This wasn't a small number. There really weren't many patients who could pay so generously. Tsura came out hurriedly. The lighting was dim, but Chun Zhao could still see the tear stains on her face. Chun, you're finally here. Tsura hugged him emotionally. Okay, let's go in. Tell me what happened to Dell. I was in bed with him, and, he started convulsing. You were having sex? Chun Zhao asked. Tsura glanced at Fei Lai, and then Chun Zhao. Gritting her teeth, she said, We were doing something special. Something special? S&M. Dell had me shock him with a low-frequency taser. If there was a competition for almost killing oneself, Chun Zhao was sure that Dell would definitely win. Chun Zhao sped up his pace while asking, Is he conscious right now or not? Chun Zhao was afraid that Dell had lost consciousness or even died from a heart attack. After all, it had already been half an hour. If Dell's heart had stopped and still hadn't gone through emergency first aid, then he would already be dead. If Dell was dead, then even a god couldn't save him. He's awake, but he keeps convulsing. When he reached the outside of Dell and Tsura's bedroom, Chun Zhao could already hear Dell's pain cries. Fei Lai, stay at the door. Don't worry. I do emergency treatment too. I've seen everything. Fei Lai didn't mind. Fine. After entering, Chun Zhao saw a whip, chains, and other sex toys. Turn on the lights. The room was quite dark. Chun Zhao moved over and restrained the spasming Dell to start checking. As long as he hadn't died and his heart hadn't stopped, it was good news. Dell was insistent on going down paths that could kill him, but he was quite lucky. At least, He'd been lucky so far. Chapter 129, Night Road. Chapter 129, Night Road. Dell, do you still recognize me? Chun Zhao had to confirm if Dell was still fully conscious. Chun, help me. It's so painful. Where? My whole body. Standing beside them, Feilai said. Looks like epilepsy. Chun Zhao shook his head and said, it's abnormal heart rhythm caused by electric shock. Sura, did Dell consume anything before you started playing? After slight hesitation, Sura nodded. What drug is it? Chun Zhao was unsurprised by Sura's response. In fact, he had found out that Dell had been consuming illegal drugs in his previous visits. In addition, he knew it was not weed, but something more intense. Highly concentrated MDMA. MDMA stands for 3,4-methylene dioxymethamphetamine, the main ingredient for ecstasy. In fact, the amount of MDMA in ecstasy is relatively low. Consuming pure MDMA would produce more intense hallucinations and pleasure, but also have higher toxicity. It was almost equivalent to death after enjoyment. Chun Zhao really could not understand this kind of person's mentality. Of course, as a doctor, Chun Zhao was not obliged to urge Dell to fight his drug addiction. Dell would not listen to him anyway. After some examination, Chun Zhao confirmed that Dell was suffering from complications due to abnormal heart rhythm, which thereby caused his convulsions. To be more direct, his own body was sending him an alarm. Chun Zhao turned his head and instructed Sura, go fill the bathtub with water, warm water, the kind that you can still put your hand in. A few minutes later, Sura ran out from the bathroom. Done. Chun Zhao carried Dell into the bathroom, which was really easy given his current strength. Putting Dell into the bathtub, Chun Zhao turned his head and said to Feilai, bring me my toolbox. Sura and Feilai both stood outside the bathroom so as not to disturb Chun Zhao's work. Feilai knew some first aid, but she could not understand what Chun Zhao was doing. Chin, why did you put him into warm water? The human body is very sensitive, especially to temperature. Warm water can relieve his contractions, but he still needs acupuncture. I don't think you know much about acupuncture. In fact, most Americans are not unfamiliar with acupuncture. It often appears in films too. But can you see his acupoints clearly in water? Wouldn't you insert the needle into the wrong spot? Chun Zhao did not doubt himself for a second. His other medical skills might be questionable, but he had been practicing acupuncture since young. Acupuncture requires more than just the eyes. Chun Zhao also needed to feel the spots with his hand. Dell was partially submerged in water at the moment. Although light would be refracted, Chun Zhao could confirm the acupoints by just touching and without even looking. Dell's body calmed down gradually, and the convulsions also stopped. Chun Zhao had managed to ease Dell's abnormal heart rhythm with acupuncture. Then, he carried Dell back into the bedroom and began to massage his muscles. Chun, be gentler, it hurts. It's good that you can still feel pain. Chun Zhao was massaging the softer areas with a lot of force. Apart from his abnormal heart rhythm, Dell was also poisoned by the illegal drug. Chun Zhao still had to help him detoxify, that is, make him vomit the toxic substances. Under the night sky, a car was racing towards Mountain Town. David was driving at full speed, while Sienna was sitting on the front passenger seat. Chris, who was sitting on the rear seat, seemed to be behaving unusually. She had been holding the mirror all this while. Chris, can you keep that mirror? David said, glancing at the rear mirror. However, Chris continued to look at the mirror with her head lowered, as if she had heard nothing. Sienna's expression became serious. Chris seemed to be asleep. Chris. Sienna turned her head and attempted to wake Chris up. There was no response. David and Sienna both felt rather anxious. Suddenly, David saw Chris from the rear mirror. No, it was not Chris, but an unfamiliar face. David was so shocked that he could not even hold the steering wheel properly. The car rocked on the road. David, drive properly. What are you doing? Sienna complained. No. David turned his head and looked at Chris. It was still Chris and nothing had changed. What's wrong? Sienna realized that David's expression was somewhat strange. I'm not sure, David muttered. uncertain. When I looked at Chris from the rear mirror, I realized that she's someone else. Sienna also looked at the rear mirror, but she did not find anything unusual about Chris. Nevertheless, she did not think that David was mistaken. Anyhow, she also did not know what was happening. Nervousness crept up her spine as time passed by. Are we not there yet? I don't think it took this long the last time I came here. Sienna asked impatiently. David tried his best to contain his fear. Although he was a cop, his identity and the gun in his pocket were of little help to their current situation. David, you see that billboard ahead? Why? David indeed saw a billboard at the side of the road. I remember we've already passed that billboard. Maybe there are several of them. Sometimes there are identical billboards on the road, David explained, but only as an attempt to comfort himself. No, Sienna suddenly shouted. I remember clearly that the light at the center of that billboard was flickering. We've indeed passed that billboard already. It's just coincidence. David continued to drive forward. However, an identical billboard appeared before them soon. In the row of lights above the billboard, the one at the center was also flickering. David could feel all his hair rise up instantly. We've been driving on the same section all this time, Sienna confirmed. Why? Why would this happen? Suddenly, a figure bolted in front of the car. David stamped on the brake in panic. Did we hit? Sienna's face turned pale as well. The two quickly rushed out of the car. However, they realized that the person lying on the ground before the car was Chris. What's happening? David looked at Chris in puzzlement. Chris was before them, so who was in the car? With a serious expression on her face, Sienna also turned her head and looked into the car. Because of the headlights before them, they could not really see what was in the car. Sienna walked to the car door and looked inside. It was empty. There was no one. Chapter 130, Mirror Reflection. Chapter 130, Mirror Reflection. Help her into the car first, Sienna said. David was a bit scared now. Sienna, she's real, right? I don't know. What about in the car? There's no one there. What? There's no one there. How can there be no one? Let's leave first. Sienna guessed that this was a ward that they were trapped in. As for why Chris, who was in the car, suddenly ran before the car, she had no clue. When they returned to the car and started driving, they passed by the billboard again. They hadn't broken free from this road. The car kept going back and forth. Sienna kept looking back at Chris. She was lying in the back seat. Where's her mirror? Sienna turned around but accidentally saw David in the rearview mirror. It wasn't David driving at all. It was an unfamiliar woman. Sienna's eyes shot open. It wasn't David. He'd been switched out. While David wasn't paying attention, Sienna secretly took out the magical phosphor and tossed it at him. Boom! The fake David didn't expect Sienna would suddenly attack. It screamed and gradually disappeared. However, the car also lost control and crashed into a tree on the side of the road. After who knows how long, Sienna opened her eyes. Her forehead was in pain. She probably hit her head when they crashed. Thankfully, she had her seatbelt on, so nothing serious happened. David and Chris weren't in the car. They were gone. Sienna shook her head, trying to get rid of the pain. Since David and Chris had disappeared, Sienna could only get out of the car to find them. The road was really dark. Sienna didn't like this feeling. She had a headache about these uncontrollable situations too. The enemy hidden in the darkness was more troublesome than any enemy Sienna had dealt with before. His biggest problem was that he was strange and unknown. As of now, he still hadn't revealed his identity but was completely toying with them. Sienna summoned her father. Yberg, help guide me. I must find David and Chris. Where are we? Yberg looked around. He actually couldn't find his bearings. Yberg's special ability was guidance. This didn't have any combat power, but it was a nice auxiliary ability. For example, they were able to go forward on the right path last time because he'd been driving. He wouldn't go forward blindly. Instead, he would follow his heart and make the correct choice. However, he couldn't feel anything right now. I can't feel the correct path, but I can feel that there's something terrifying up ahead. Something terrifying? Sienna asked. An evil spirit? No, It's something I've never seen before. This aura makes my hair rise up. It's not an evil spirit. Yberg's cowardly personality was revealed again. Put me away. I don't want to face this. It's even worse than last time. It's scarier than Maria. Sienna still decided to go down the direction that Yberg pointed in. She walked for more than 10 minutes and saw someone lying under a street lamp. Chris? Sienna hurried over. David, how are you? David woke up slowly. It hurts. Sienna? What happened? Do you know where Chris is? No. Where's our car? Why am I here? Sienna shook her head. She wasn't sure if this David was real or not. Judging from what had happened, the hidden enemy could replace David or Chris or even herself without anyone realizing. She was sure that she was real, though. This went without saying. Can you walk? Yes, you still haven't answered. It's kind of complicated. Do you remember what happened before you passed out? I remember I ran into Chris, and then you looked inside the car. And then, I can't remember. Was David switched out at that moment? Sienna thought. Let's go forward. After a while, 3 figures appeared before them. There's someone, David cried excitedly. They sped up, but when they got closer, they saw that the 3 incoming people were Sienna, David, and Chris. The Sienna and David on the left were confused. The 3 across from them were confused too. You. They all looked at each other cautiously. Just then, another person ran out. Chris. It was another Chris. This new Chris was exhausted and covered in sweat. There were 2 Siennas, 2 Chris, and 2 Davids. I'm real. You're fake. I'm real. The 2 Davids started arguing. Sienna looked at her clone. Stop the disguise. Maybe it works if you pretend to be them, but it's useless for me. I was going to say that too, the other Sienna said. You can't pretend to be me. Sienna scoffed. The enemy could clone her, but could they clone Yberg? She took out Yberg's case and released him. 2 Siennas? Who's the real one? I summoned you, so I'm obviously the real one, Sienna said. You and that fake Yberg, stop, the other Sienna yelled. She also took out a case and released a Yberg. 2 Siennas, and another me? What's going on? Sienna's expression hardened. The enemy was stronger than she'd imagined. They could even duplicate Yberg. What could she do now? Sienna took out the magical phosphor to use a spell. However, the other Sienna did the same, cautiously staring at her. Sienna scattered the magical phosphor. It formed an image in the sky while she chanted, Ancient truth, please descend and distinguish truth from lie for me. Ancient truth, please descend and distinguish truth from lie for me. The other Sienna chanted at the same time, using the same spell. The magic array hit the foreheads of the 2 Siennas. A huge ball of flesh appeared above their heads. Seeing this, Sienna's expression changed drastically. Not only did the enemy know how to use the spell of ancient truth, they were even better at it. The eye of true vision above their head was even bigger than the one she'd summoned. Chapter 131. My right hand is starving. Chapter 131. My right hand is starving. One of the balls was significantly larger than the other. Judging from this, the fake Sienna was clearly more powerful than the real one. Just then, the ball of flesh summoned by the fake Sienna started changing. A gap opened on the ball, turning it into an enormous eyeball. Just as the eye opened, a beam of red light shot out and blasted towards the ball above Sienna's head. The ball of flesh above Sienna's head was penetrated by the red beam before it could even open. Suddenly, the eyeball opposite her flew towards her. Many tentacles extended from the eyeball and wrapped around Sienna's eye of true vision. Sienna quickly backed away with a serious expression on her face. The fake Sienna opposite her smiled, while the real Sienna grew even more anxious. What do I do? What do I do? The fake Sienna pointed at the real Sienna and instructed Yberg, kill her. She's fake. However, the Yberg that had been summoned by the fake Sienna seemed hesitant. I can't. What? The fake Sienna was stunned. The next moment, the Yberg that she had summoned broke into pieces, just like a mirror. Damn. Why? The fake Sienna started screaming and her body also began changing. In the end, the fake Sienna turned into a 3-meter-tall goat-head monster. Standing there, he looked just like a walking black goat. The black goat monster was holding a gold-framed mirror. Meanwhile, the other two fakes also crushed like two mirrors. They turned into two beams of light and returned to the gold-framed mirror. Confusion was written all over Sienna's face. What happened? Why did she just disintegrate? Chris and David also looked perplexed. They had just been intensely arguing with their fake counterparts. Why did they suddenly disappear? Demon. Demon. He's that demon. Seeing the black goat monster, Chris's face was filled with horror. All right, the game ends here. The black goat monster produced a few obscure syllables with his mouth, but the three could all understand him perfectly. Sienna held her ritual implement with her right hand and grabbed a handful of magical phosphor with the other. The black goat monster was giving her an extremely uncomfortable feeling. Demon? Is this really a demon? Are there really demons in this world? What are you? Sienna asked softly. I, Dagon Byros, ruler of the reflection world. Huh. Look, we have another two petty humans here for sacrifice. Dagon Byros stared at the end of the road. He could see flashes of headlights in the distance. Another car had entered the region, and there were two people in it. They were precisely Feilai and Chun Zhao. Chun, what is that? Woof. Beelzebub barked, and Chun Zhao glanced at him. Nothing. Just ram at him. Huh. Feilai stared at Chun Zhao with her eyes widened. Ram. Crash. Dagon Byros was sent flying away directly, and the mirror also dropped onto the ground. The front of the car dented from the severe impact. Chun Zhao, Beelzebub, Raymond, Carrie, and Walter all alighted from the car. Chun Zhao walked to the gold-frame mirror and picked it up. On the other hand, Beelzebub, Raymond, Carrie, and Walter had already charged towards Dagon Byros. Everyone stared at Chun Zhao's pets with their jaws on the ground. Apart from Walter, who was still normal, the other three had all turned. They became even bigger than Dagon Byros, especially Beelzebub. He was originally a Shar-Pei, but now he was an enormous dog larger than a tiger. Raymond had also changed from a small, colorful snake into a huge python that was 5 or 6 meters long. Carrie's size did not change much, but she had 2 tails and a cloud of frost circling around her. Dagon Byros, who had been superior just a moment ago, was jointly mauled by Chun Zhao's demons in the next instant. Chun Zhao could feel the mirror in his hand struggling wildly, as if it wanted to break free from Chun Zhao's grip. This mirror is the medium used by this reflection demon. Destroy it, and you destroy this mirror ward, Blackie said, floating beside Chun Zhao. Chun Zhao smashed the mirror heavily onto the ground, destroying a corner of the mirror. No, no, no. Return me the mirror, Dagon Byros screamed, trying to escape from the 4 demons' attacks. However, the next moment, Carrie awarded him with a giant ice bolt. The ice bolt pierced through Dagon's chest and nailed him onto the ground. Walter bit firmly onto Dagon's calf. Beelzebub was the fiercest of the 4. He tore away one of Dagon's arms and then ate it directly. Chun Zhao was about to smash the mirror again when he felt something strange about his right hand. His right palm seemed to be splitting apart. Then, Chun Zhao saw a mouth at the center of his palm. That's right, a mouth. The mouth bit onto a corner of the gold-framed mirror. Following a clear crack, it tore down a piece from the mirror. Ah! Dagon Byros moaned madly. Confused, Chun Zhao looked at his own hand. The mouth on his right hand seemed to be sending him a signal. Eat, eat, eat. I want to eat. Chun Zhao put the mirror onto his right palm. The mouth opened again, showing all its sharp teeth. The hard mirror felt nothing more like a piece of meat in the mouth. Crack! Another piece was torn away. Dagon Byros' moaning became even more miserable. Chun Zhao felt a message from the mouth again. Delicious. Then eat more. Chun Zhao also tried to deliver his thoughts to the mouth. The mouth needed no more than a few bites to finish the gold-framed mirror. In his high-pitched screams, Dagon Byros finally turned into a black cloud of sand and vanished. The surrounding immediately became much brighter. Everyone stared at each other and could not contain their emotions. Chun Zhao's pets had already returned to their normal states. They could only be demonified in non-human regions, such as Blackie's space crevice. They had been in the reflection demon's reflection world just now, which was similarly not part of the human world. Blackie, is that reflection demon dead? Nope. The mirror is only his medium, not his body. How about the demon just now? It's merely a demon soul controlled by the reflection demon, a pathetic, fallen goat monster. Still looking dazed, everyone stared at Chun Zhao and the pets around him. Chun, are you really a druid? Did you kill that demon? Chun Zhao's pets were clearly not ordinary organisms. After all, who had seen a fox which could shoot ice bolts like a machine gun, a Shar-Pei which was bigger than a tiger, or a snake which could spurt clouds of poisonous gas from its mouth? Chapter 132, Medium. Chapter 132, Medium. Everyone squeezed into Fei Lai's car and drove to Chun Zhao's house. Drink this. You're fine. Chun Zhao handed a cup of calming tea to Chris. Thanks. Chris accepted the cup. Chris, after I sent you back, I want to find you again the next day, but you weren't there already. I asked David to help me find you. Where were you these days? The church, Chris replied. Chun, what was that thing? Right now, Sienna was most concerned about Dagon Byros. She'd never felt so powerless and clueless before. Demon, Chun Zhao replied simply. More specifically, it's a reflection demon. Where's Nance right now? Chris asked further. Is he controlled by that demon? Yes. Blackie had told him. Chun Zhao continued. The reflection demon uses a medium to project into the human world. What we saw earlier wasn't his true form. The demon that looks like a mountain goat is actually controlled by the reflection demon. Chris X is the same. The reflection demon can possess humans to control their souls, and then use that soul to possess past friends and family. He'll keep receiving souls as long as the medium remains. By medium, do you mean the mirror? Yes, but not the mirror you saw earlier. The mirror that Chris and her ex got is actually the medium's reflection. That's why it can never be destroyed. Chun Zhao was only repeating Blackie's explanation. The medium only exists in the reflections world, which is where we'd entered. You can only truly destroy the medium there. So you're saying that the demon personally destroyed the medium? If he didn't let us go, if you went in, then we'd be powerless against him? Chun Zhao shook his head. The reflection demon isn't as strong as you think. He was just using his own abilities to make the reflection the same as the outside world. He could make copies of you all with the same compatibility. What's compatibility? For example, if he copies something, his copy can't go against what the original does. Another example, if a loving couple enters the reflection world, he can use the copied wife to kill the actual wife, but the copied wife to kill the actual husband or the copied husband to kill the wife. This is what compatibility is. If he goes against this law, then his abilities will become ineffective. Sienna understood immediately why the copy would recover its original appearance. He didn't know that Yberg was her father. No matter how their relationship was, they were still family. Even the copy wouldn't be willing to hurt his daughter. This was the so-called compatibility. Earlier, you said that the Black Mountain Goat demon Dagon Byros isn't the true reflection demon. Then, is the reflection demon still alive? After this paranormal event, Chris was left with trauma. She was afraid that the reflection demon would come back for revenge. He's still alive, but he isn't in the human world. His true form can't enter the human world and his medium has been destroyed. As long as no one makes another medium, he'll never be able to affect the human world, let alone take revenge on you. Since the medium existed, then someone must have created it, right? What if someone else makes one? That medium has a history of more than a century. Its creator is long dead. You don't have to worry. Plus, if the reflection demon wants revenge, it'll come for me first. Hearing Chun Zhao's reply, Chris was finally relieved. Then, what about them? Sienna pointed at the playing animals. What exactly are Beelzebub and the others? My pets. Isn't it obvious? Pets? Do you think I'm blind? Well, they're my pets right now. Then where did you learn your magic? Is it some Oriental magic? Chinese people call magic fashu, right? David commented. Beelzebub must be divine beasts. I did my research. Research? You? Of course. Chun and I are friends. I have to understand Chen. Is Oriental magic really this powerful? Sienna had been dealt a blow. After all, she'd been helped by Chun Zhao twice. In fact, she could say that she'd been saved twice. Each time had been more dangerous than the last, but Chun Zhao had taken care of them easily. Chun, where's the gold? Are you going to take it for yourself? Sienna stared at Chun Zhao with shining eyes. Chun Zhao's expression was dark. The gold was part of the medium. It was destroyed along with the medium. Hey, that gold is worth more than $10,000. How could you do that? Sienna, it's okay, David comforted. That gold was cursed. If you give me the gold, I won't care if it's cursed. Sienna was sad, but Chun Zhao was even more pained. The gold had been eaten by the mouth on his hand. More than 200 grams of gold was worth at least $10,000. Chun Zhao still wasn't sure what the mouth was used for. The only thing he was sure about was that Beelzebub Zophi had given it to him. Chen, I can go find you if I run into these things again, right? Chris looked at him with teary eyes. If you need a doctor, I'm happy to help. But if you need to exorcise evil spirits or demons, please ask Sienna. I'm an amateur. Knock, knock. Knocks sounded at that time. Everyone exchanged glances. It was already 2 in the morning. Who would come? After opening the door, they realized it was Leonardo. Leon, how come you're here? I was patrolling and saw that your light is still on, so I came to look. Come in. Chun Zhao moved aside. Do you usually patrol by yourself? Where's your partner? My previous partner quit, and they haven't assigned me a new one. I hope it'll be a beauty. When Leonardo entered the living room and saw everyone, he gaped. Let me introduce everyone. David, he's a cop too. This is Leonardo. He's in charge of Mountain Town security. Hey, come sit down. You're Chin's friend too? David tossed Leonardo a can of beer. Chapter 133, The Fearsome Gaia. Chapter 133, The Fearsome Gaia. Are you having a party? Leonardo asked. Nope, it's just a normal gathering, but we were so engrossed that we forgot the time, Chun Zhao said with a smile on his face. If I recall correctly, you've only been here for less than 3 months, right? Look at how many friends you have already. I grew up in Los Angeles, but only have a few friends. You're my friend too, Chun Zhao said, smiling. David also put his hand on Leonardo's shoulder. Buddy, we're friends now as well. My birthday is this weekend. Can you attend my birthday party? Leonardo invited, looking somewhat shy. Of course. Can all of us go? Yes, all of you are very welcomed. I hope that you'll all be there. In fact, Leonardo had knocked on Chun Zhao's door just now only to invite him to his birthday party. However, he did not expect so many people to be present. Even more unexpectedly, he managed to know so many new people in a single night. Leonardo was not really a loner, but he did not know how to socialize. Even in the police station, most people were only his colleagues and not friends. The number of friends that he made that night was perhaps almost equal to the number of friends he had before. However, Leonardo could not stay for too long because he was still working. Leonardo, do you mind giving us a ride? We're leaving too, David said. Sure, Leonardo agreed without hesitation. Sienna and Chris left with David as well. After 2 busy days, Chun Zhao could finally have a good rest. The next day, Chun Zhao was awakened by Fei Lai. He did not have enough sleep, but he had things to do. It was already over 8 in the morning. After washing up, he still had to attend Gaia's boxing lesson. Chun Zhao had a rather tight schedule. He still had to check Rufford's injury at noon. After all, he was investing on Rufford, so he had to gain some profit from it. When Chun Zhao arrived at the fitness center, he was somewhat anxious. He still remembered Gaia's threat. Luckily, Gaia was just scaring him, and the lesson was what they were supposed to have in the first place. In the 2 hours, Chun Zhao spent an hour hitting the sandbag. Chin, you're exerting your strength in the wrong way. You can't just use all your strength in every punch. You're learning how to fight, not going for a boxing tournament. Gaia had been observing Chun Zhao's punches. While street fighting also requires physical strength, the key lies in your techniques. Use minimal force to defeat you opponents. Therefore, pay attention to the angle and power of your attack. Maybe you're not just facing one enemy, but 2, or perhaps 20. If you use all your strength in every punch, you wouldn't last long. Gaia walked up. The most popular boxing styles now are free sparring and military boxing. I'll teach you free sparring. Why not military boxing? As Gaia wore her gloves, she waved her hand at Chun Zhao. Let's fight. For real. No, just an example. Do I attack or you? You'll attack. Chun Zhao formally put up a boxing stance and protected his head. Then, he slowly stepped forward. Punch. In the instant he punched, Gaia dodged his attack. She made a turn and her elbow struck towards Chun Zhao's face. Not my face. Gaia was not planning to injure Chun Zhao. Her elbow stopped 5 centimeters away from Chun Zhao's face. Military boxing is used to kill. Do you plan to kill anyone? Gaia asked. Before you're ready to kill, military boxing is even weaker than free sparring, Gaia said. The moves in military boxing are crueler and designed to destroy your opponent's body. They are mostly targeted at joints and weak points. Gaia, since you're so strong, you can certainly win any boxing competition, right? Gaia shook her head. It's not as simple as you think. I might not even win women's boxing. The rules on the ring wouldn't allow me to display myself fully, so don't even talk about men's boxing. I'll be considered lucky if I can win just 3 opponents. How about outside the ring? I can kill 10 top boxing champions in 10 minutes. Chun Zhao shivered. He went to the restroom, and when he returned, Gaia had already removed her gloves. Gaia, why do you hate Morgari so much? It's none of your business, Gaia answered directly. Chun Zhao scratched his nose in awkwardness. He was really stupid just now for finding trouble for no reason. After leaving the fitness center, Chun Zhao went to Rufford's house directly. Board was there as well. Rufford was doing some light recovery exercises under his guidance. Hello, Chun. Both of them stopped. Chun Zhao said, continue and finish Board's lesson. 10 minutes later, Rufford approached Chun Zhao. After nearly 1 week of treatment, his leg no longer hurt. Indeed, he felt that he had already fully recovered. However, Board felt that it was not the case. It could only be confirmed after Chun Zhao's examination. Rufford's feeling might not be accurate. Sometimes, an athlete may feel that he has already recovered, where in reality there is still some indiscernible damage. Once he starts to exercise vigorously, his injury would relapse. To prevent such a situation, one must be careful. After some checkup, Chun Zhao patted Rufford's shoulder. Rufford, your recovery is excellent. You can already exercise as usual, but not too intensely for these few days. Board, give me a copy of Rufford's physical data over the next few days. No problem. Chun Zhao was the person who had introduced Board to Rufford, and he was also Rufford's investor. He was indirectly Board's boss, not to mention that he had saved Board's wife and daughter. Therefore, Board would certainly listen to Chun Zhao fully. After spending an hour in Rufford's house, Chun Zhao received a call from Ethan. Chun, a new client. FDD Commercial Building, level 40. What's the pay? 800. That's low. Who is it? What disease? I'm not going if it's another gang leader or something. Chun Zhao was usually not picky about the pay or the client, but 800 was indeed relatively low. If it was only a normal client, he would take it as an opportunity to widen his social circle. However, if the client was someone dangerous, 800 was not sufficient for him to take the high risk. FDD Commercial Building is in downtown. Do you think a gang will work there? Fine. I'll go now. Chapter 134, Strange Mother and Daughter. Chapter 134, Strange Mother and Daughter. The FDD Commercial Building was a well-known landmark. When Chen Zhao entered, he was almost stopped by the security guards. This building was mainly used for work offices, but it also had some luxury suites that could be rented. Judging from the security, the monthly rent for a suite would be at least $20,000. Chen Zhao's client lived in one of the suites. He reached the 40th floor and rang the bell after confirming the room number. He remembered that the last time he came to this kind of suite, he'd met two beauties. He wished that his client this time was also a beauty. Of course, it would be best if she wasn't a murderer. The door opened. It was a 30-something-year-old woman. She was beautiful with some makeup on and wearing fashionable clothes. However, her stomach was bleeding. She hadn't pulled out the knife yet. She looked down at the pets around Chen Zhao. You are? Were you the one that called a doctor? You're a doctor? Yes. Are you sure you're not a vet? It's my habit to bring my pets out. I'm worried if I leave them at home. All right, come in. Chen Zhao entered and saw that the living room was in a mess. He turned to look at the woman. Are you sure you don't need to call the police? This is from my daughter and I fighting. How can I call the police? Then your injury. Also her masterpiece. Chen Zhao didn't know what to say. He didn't know this mother and daughter pair, so he didn't know their conflict. How old is your daughter? 15. The woman lay down on the sofa. Chen Zhao lifted her shirt. Bear with me. I need to take the knife out. Judging from the wound, the knife hadn't gone in too deeply. It was evident that her daughter didn't use a lot of power. Woof, woof. Walter suddenly started barking at the bedroom. Chen Zhao looked over and saw blood flowing out from the crack under the bedroom door. Expression changing, he turned to look at the woman, to see her stabbing him with the knife. Fuck! Frightened, Chen Zhao quickly grabbed the woman's wrist, but he was still a step late. The knife had already scraped his palm. He was so scared that he flipped over the sofa. The woman raised her knife again. Chen Zhao lifted his foot and kicked the woman's wound that he'd just stitched up. The woman clutched her stomach in pain, while Chen Zhao was covered in cold sweat from fear. He'd been learning how to fight these days, but he realized that not everyone could perform what they'd learned when it was actually necessary. This was the difference between him and Gaia. Gaia had actually been on the battlefield before. Chen Zhao was confident that his strength and speed were both above Gaia. However, if it was Gaia here, she definitely wouldn't be in a pathetic state like Chen Zhao. He looked at his arm. There was a scratch left by the knife, but it wasn't that serious. He looked at the woman on the ground and opened the bedroom door. A girl was lying on the ground in a puddle of blood. Chen Zhao hurried over to check. She wasn't dead yet. He carried the girl out of the bedroom. She'd been stabbed in the chest and suffered blood loss. Her injury was very grave. Her breathing was weak. The woman stood up, holding onto her stomach, and looked at Chen Zhao with an ugly expression. She's your daughter? Stepdaughter. Hatred flashed past the woman's face. I'm calling the cops. Don't call them. No, I must. You tried killing your daughter. Chen Zhao couldn't ignore this. If the girl died, he would be in trouble too. I didn't, the woman explained anxiously. She tried to commit suicide. It's not my fault. Why didn't you tell me? Chen Zhao interrogated the woman while performing first aid. Walter, give me the kit. Walter dragged the kit over. Chen Zhao carefully pulled the knife out. Blood spewed out of the girl's chest immediately. Chen Zhao quickly covered the wound. He took out a bottle and spread the sticky thing across the girl's injury. This was the saliva of the swamp soul-eater frog. It was apparently great at stopping bleeding. Chen Zhao couldn't help it. Acupuncture wasn't enough to stop the girl's bleeding. He could only use demon medicine. He also had to multitask and be wary of the woman. Who knew if she would go crazy again and try to stab him? She wants to frame me with her death, the woman explained in panic. Please don't call the cops. If you do, I'm done. Chen Zhao's eyes flashed. He wasn't sure if the woman was speaking the truth or not. You stabbed yourself, right? After hesitating, the woman nodded. Yes. What happened? If you make me feel like you're still hiding something, I'm gonna call the cops immediately. Vil is my stepdaughter. You told me. Her father died from liver cancer 10 years ago, and she'd always hated me. Understandably, I don't like her either. We've had countless big and small fights before. Chun Zhao listened quietly while thinking about whether the woman was telling the truth or not. Recently, I heard that she's hanging out with a group of hooligans, so I fought with her again. The woman hated her stepdaughter to the extreme. After all, they weren't blood-related and not everyone was responsible. To this woman, Vil was just a burden. I grounded her, telling her that she can't step out of the suite for 10 days. She said that if I don't let her out, she'll kill herself. And I said that even if she dies, she can't die in the suite. Then she hid inside her room. An hour ago, I opened her door and saw that she'd stabbed herself. I was scared. So you stabbed yourself too? The woman nodded. I thought that if I didn't do anything, the police will definitely say that I killed her. Everyone knows that we have a bad relationship. What's the logic behind you stabbing yourself? Chun Zhao didn't understand at all. Could stabbing herself erase her sin? I was going to make it look like an armed robbery. The woman's expression was pained. Her stomach was still bleeding. Chun Zhao tossed over a bottle. Smear some of this on your injury. The woman continued. I was going to call the cops. But then I remembered that there's a surveillance camera. If they look at the security footage, they'll know there was no robbery. So, I had to get a doctor to treat me. Then you came. What about her? I thought she was dead. I really thought Vil was dead. I never wanted her to die. Believe me, I hate her, but I would never kill her. You were going to dispose of her body when you recovered, right? The woman hesitated for a beat, but finally nodded. You never thought about killing your stepdaughter, but you wanted to kill me? Chun Zhao raised his hand. The blood reminded him that this woman was crazy enough to do anything. Chapter 135, Favor. Chapter 135, Favor. I'm sorry. I can compensate for that. How much do you want? 10,000. This is blackmail. The woman roared in anger. This includes my pay for treating your daughter. Also, I must send her to the hospital. What? No, the police will find out. If her daughter was sent to the hospital with such a severe injury, the doctors would certainly call the police. The police would carry out an investigation and her reputation would be totally ruined. I won't say anything. As for what the police will find out, I don't care, Chun Zhao said. Chun Zhao was not entirely sure if the woman was really not the culprit. If she was, it would be too dangerous for her daughter to continue staying with her. Therefore, Chun Zhao had to send the girl to the hospital. Whatever you want to tell the police, it's your problem. Mister, please don't send her to the hospital. I promise I'll treat her better. I promise. I wouldn't hurt her. If this gets exposed, I'll lose my job. What's your job? I'm a KTLL TV news presenter. I'm a celebrity. I can't have any scandals. The woman panicked. She clearly viewed her work as being more importantly as her adopted daughter. After some consideration, Chun Zhao said, she has to go to the hospital. That can't be changed, but I know someone from the police station. I can help you ask how to handle such a situation. The woman's mistake could be either severe or minor, because she was Vil's guardian. Not saving her dying daughter was equivalent to manslaughter. Of course, Vil was not dead yet. As long as she was not prosecuted for it, she would be fine. It mainly depended on the evidence found by the police, as well as their attitude towards the incident. Chun Zhao called Melson. Melson, are you free now? Why? I just had a client. Chun Zhao told Melson the situation. After being silent for a while, Melson said, how do you want me to handle it? As long as it's not against the law, I hope that you won't look into the mother's actions. It would be best if the incident is not exposed to the public. How's the girl's injury? I've already performed first aid and her injury is now stable. I plan to call an ambulance and send her to the hospital. Let us call the ambulance. You and that woman stay there now. I'll bring a few people there. All right. After a while, Melson arrived with a few others. Soon, the ambulance also reached. A few police started gathering evidence at the scene. Melson waved his hand at Chun Zhao and the woman. Let's talk. The three walked into the bedroom. Melson glanced at Chun Zhao and then looked at the woman. Madam Daly Simpson, if you don't want to get into trouble when you get questioned later, Say that you called the police immediately after discovering your daughter's attempt to commit suicide. Don't say anything irrelevant. Will I be prosecuted? As long as you don't admit that you've delayed any time on purpose, we, the police, wouldn't prosecute you, Melson said. I understand, Daley Simpson nodded. I'll describe the situation to my team first. Don't say anything irrelevant, like about the wound in your abdomen. Of course. Despite feeling uneasy, Daley Simpson still accepted Melson's suggestion. Chun Zhao made a handshake with Melson. Thanks. Chun Zhao knew that Melson was helping him only because Melson had owed him a favor last time. Of course, it was something within Melson's authority. If Daley Simpson really killed someone, he would not ignore it just for Chen Zhao. The $10,000 that Chen Zhao had asked from Daley Simpson was not just for treating them. It also included the favor from Melson and fee for Chen Zhao to not expose her. To be more direct, she was paying Chen Zhao to solve her problem. As for which of Daley Simpson and her daughter was in the wrong, Chen Zhao could not decide. He liked neither of them anyway. Moreover, Chen Zhao also did not intend to change their relationship. Their hatred towards each other had been formed over an extended period of time. Chen Zhao did not even care if they would stab each other with a knife in the future. Chen Zhao had already done what he should. At least he believed so. Daley Simpson was wrong, but if she ended up in jail, Vil would have to be sent to an orphanage or another relative's place. This might not be ideal for her either. Chun, why are you giving me $2,000? Ethan stared at Chun Zhao, confused. Isn't it supposed to be $800 for you? So it should be $160 for me, according to our agreement. Have you finally turned over a new leaf and decided to pay for the food that you've eaten here? Take it or leave it. Stop nagging. Chen Zhao rolled his eyes. Annie Lee, get me some food. Ethan kept cursing Chen Zhao for his usual dine and dash. After the meal, Chen Zhao went to the hospital to check Vil Simpson's condition and collect the money. By the time he returned home, it was already past 4 in the afternoon. Chen Zhao saw Qin arguing with a man in front of Qin's own house. Chen Zhao vaguely recalled the man to be a gangster in the town. That time, Chen Zhao had encountered the gangster in the supermarket. The gangster was going to target him because he was new to town. Luckily, a shopkeeper reprimanded him. Qin, is that your friend? Chen Zhao shouted. Noticing that Qin and the gangster were about to fight, he signaled them his presence. The gangster glanced at Chen Zhao. He muttered something to Qin and then left angrily. Qin approached Chen Zhao. Chen, thanks. He's a gangster, right? We were close friends. He wanted to borrow money from me. Are Bant and Mary not at home? The winery closed down and both my father and I lost our jobs. We're currently looking for new ones, Qin said. Chen Zhao could not help their financial predicament. After all, his social circle was not wide enough. Will the gangster look for you again? I don't have any money to lend him. I don't think he'll come again, Qin answered, shaking his head. That's great. If you have any trouble, come and find me or call the police. I know what to do. Thanks. This is Leonardo's number. He's the patrolman in town. Perhaps you should take it down. Sure. Thanks. Shortly after Chen Zhao returned home, Fei Lai was also back. Fei Lai was lying on the sofa lazily. Chun, have you made dinner? Nope. I just came back too. I don't want to move. You're in charge of the dinner. Let's eat out. I'm too lazy as well. Chapter 136, Murder. Chapter 136, Murder. The two went to a restaurant on the side of the road. Fei Lai ordered salad, steak, and a large pudding. Chen Zhao didn't have a small appetite, but if he ate fully, his month's paycheck would be gone. He really had a big appetite. After all, he drunk the strength potion. The effect was more than double of David's. This meant that Chen Zhao's appetite was twice the amount of David. Even though it wasn't Thanksgiving, Chen Zhao still ordered an entire roast turkey. It was a Western restaurant, but Chen Zhao and Fei Lai weren't the type who ate gracefully. Plus, there weren't many rules in a small-town restaurant. When they ate, they really showed their true colors. Chen Zhao grabbed the turkey and munched. Halfway through their meal, someone suddenly patted Fei Lai's shoulder. Hey, sexy, Want to go to the bar with me? I know where the fun is. Chen Zhao looked up. It was Qin's classmate. The guy's leering expression made Fei Lai frown. She pushed his hand away. Don't touch me. I don't know you. That Asian can't satisfy you, the guy said shamelessly. Come play with me. I promise you won't be able to get out of bed. Could Chen Zhao take this? No. He grabbed a drumstick and smacked the guy's face. Get the fuck out. Yellow monkey, you want to die? Chen Zhao lifted his leg and kicked the guy a few feet away. He couldn't beat Gaia, but he could deal with a solo gangster with just his finger. After that one kick, the guy couldn't even stand back up. Chen Zhao had only used half of his power, but his kick was still quite harmful. Even a dragon like Gaia wouldn't be able to take it, let alone this random guy. Don't let me see you again. Get out. The guy ran away pathetically, clutching his stomach. Guys like him just bullied the weak, but feared the strong. He saw that Chen Zhao was Asian and new here, so he came to provoke him. Once Chen Zhao showed his strength, he didn't dare go up against him again. As for calling the cops, it was a joke. He would never be supported by the cops in any way. Fuck. He wasted my turkey. Chen Zhao looked furious. Can you use magic to kill that asshole? Why? You hate him? I don't know him, but I heard townspeople say that he sold drugs to some kids in school and 2 of them overdosed. One died and the other has brain damage. People like him deserve to die. My magic can't kill anyone. Don't bet on it. So boring. Killing isn't fun. Chen Zhao rolled his eyes. You killed someone before? Fei Lai suddenly looked at him with interest. Thinking for a moment, Chen Zhao said, Once, in the hospital, a serial killer captured a nurse. I had Beelzebub kill him in front of everyone. How did it feel? It was scary because I didn't feel anything. I was actually emotionless toward killing someone. Do you have any other experiences in killing people? Does failing a patient during surgery count? No. Because of the gangster, Chen Zhao and Fei Lai weren't able to eat happily. Afterward, they went to the supermarket and bought a lot of groceries. Their fridge was filled instantly. Fei Lai, do people still swim in the winter? Of course. The temperature difference in LA isn't that big. The beach I'm at has a lot of people the entire year. That's why we need to work the entire year too. Some people even swim at night, so I sometimes have to do night shifts. Oh, right. Fei Lai started up again. What are you going to give for Leonardo's birthday party? Chen Zhao grew troubled. What should he give? He had no experience in gift-giving. Turning, he asked, Fei Lai, what are you going to give? I already have an idea, but I can't tell you. If you find out, you'll definitely want to give it to him first. Then I'll have nothing. Fei Lai was careful around Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao was even more distressed. It was right of Fei Lai to be careful, because he really would do something like that. Fuck. Deppler rasped and clutched his stomach and cursed, his expression pained. He walked slowly and unsteadily. That Asian had kicked him way too hard. It felt like his intestines had broken. I'll show that yellow monkey. I'm gonna kill him. Deppler came to a building and knocked on the door with difficulty. A beat later, Treed Pimpton opened the door. When Treed saw Deppler, his expression turned cold instantly. Deppler, you shouldn't be here. His attitude was indifferent, putting distance between them. Mr. Pimpton, I'm sorry. I need money. I already gave you money, Treed said icily. We have nothing to do with each other again. Mr. Pimpton, I worked for you, but you only gave me $5,000. That's not fair. I need another payment. You don't keep your word. Treed Pimpton's expression darkened even more. If you don't pay me, I can't promise I won't tell other people some ugly things. This was how Deppler often blackmailed people. Fine, come in. Treed Pimpton suddenly grew calm. The moment Deppler stepped into Treed's home, a dagger went straight into Deppler's chest. There was an old woman standing behind the door. Deppler looked around with difficulty. He knew this old woman, but why was she in Treed's home? Why was she hiding behind the door? Treed had already closed the door. Seeing Deppler on the ground, he said to the old woman, Winry, you did it too fast. You should have waited until I closed the door. If someone passed by, we would have been discovered. I couldn't help it. I haven't seen blood in so long, and prey finally showed up. The old woman slowly latched onto Depler. She raised her dagger high in the air. Mighty sleeper, the woman recited. In the name of Besta, please hear my calling as I give you the offering of blood. Depler hadn't died yet. He was still very conscious. In fact, the closer one was to death, the more conscious one was. However, he couldn't do anything. The old woman had rubbed some numbing poison onto the blade. He could only watch as the old woman raised the dagger again and stab it into his chest. Chapter 137, Suspicion. Chapter 137, Suspicion. You sure you don't want the tripe? No, certainly not. Don't put it into my side. Why would the supermarket sell such a weird thing? Fine, I'll eat it. Chun Zhao and Fei Lai were having hot pot. In fact, it was not the first time. After trying hot pot for the first time, Fei Lai could not stop herself from having more. The preparation for hot pot was actually very simple. The only troublesome parts were the soup base and the dipping sauce. It was not easy to make a good hot pot broth. Chun Zhao's favorite were pork bone soup and mala soup. Fei Lai preferred plainer ones. Of course, that did not mean she did not like meat, but rather she could not take food that was too spicy. Just like Chun Zhao, she was a carnivore. She would eat vegetables, but she had to eat meat for every meal, or she would not feel full and satisfied. After all, Fei Lai was a member of the Coastal Rescue Team, which meant a tremendous amount of exercise every day. Vegetables alone would not fill her stomach. Today, they were having a double-flavored pot, because Chun Zhao had bought a lot of offal. Actually, many Americans did not eat offal because of their history. Without many famines in the past, they did not have to eat any intestines. On the other hand, Chun Zhao still maintained his dietary preferences and taste from China. He loved tripes and other offal. He could not change another person's taste, but he would also not change his own taste for another person. The two clinked their beer bottles and then drank from the bottles directly. Fei Lai was never a gentlewoman, at least since she had moved in. Chun Zhao had never seen her being gentle. She was always so careless and casual. She said that if she still had to pretend to be someone else at home, life would be too tiring. Fei Lai's broth had beer inside. She did not expect pork bone soup to be so delicious after adding beer. She really loved the soup and could not stop from eating more. Suddenly, they heard someone knock on the door. Fei Lai was just scooping a piece of pork bone up to eat. Go and open the door. I'm not free. Chun Zhao wiped his mouth and trotted to the door. Realizing that Leonardo was outside, Chun Zhao immediately tried to pull him in. You came at the right time. Come in and eat dinner with me and Fei Lai. Chun, I'm working, Leonardo said somewhat awkwardly. Work? Chun, did you have a conflict with Depler Rastan earlier? Who's that? A gangster in town. Did he call the police? He harassed Fei Lai, so I beat him up. He's dead? Why? Chun Zhao widened his eyes. You suspect that I'm the murderer? No. We've already done some investigation. After your conflict, you and Fei Lai went to the supermarket and then came home. There are a couple of videos captured by surveillance cameras, so you are not under any suspicion. I only came here to do my routine questioning. Don't even have to record it, Leonardo explained. After all, Chun Zhao was one of his few friends. He did not want to lose such a friend for this. All right, now that you're done with your questions, can you come in and eat with us? Fei Lai and I prepared a lot of food, including many special Chinese dishes. Come. Leonardo looked into the house for a while and eventually stepped in. Without being over-polite, Leonardo took a bowl and started scooping food up from the hot pot directly. This tastes great. What is it? Tripe? What's tripe? Stop asking and just eat. Chun Zhao rolled his eyes at Leonardo. It's so delicious. I've never had this before. Fei Lai looked doubtful. Is it really that nice? Leonardo, how did Depler Rastan die? Who's Depler? The gangster that harassed you earlier. What? He's dead? Fei Lai exclaimed and stared at Chun Zhao. It was no wonder that she had such a reaction. After all, she had just asked Chun Zhao to kill him with sorcery. In the end, he really died. How could she not be surprised? Her first thought was that Chen Zhao had secretly killed him with a spell. He died in his own house. His heart was dug out by someone and placed on his own hand. Wait, let us finish eating first, Feilai said, covering her mouth. Chen Zhao and Leonardo seemed to be much calmer. After all, Leonardo was a police and had seen many corpses before. Chen Zhao was a doctor and had seen many too. As long as the corpse was not badly mutilated, Chen Zhao would not really feel disgusted. They continued wolfing down food and beer. The meal was in full swing. Feilai finally tried a piece of tripe. Actually, once she managed to overcome her unease, tripes were quite nice. Their special taste and chewiness were really addictive. It's an animal organ, right? Leonardo asked. Chen Zhao was momentarily stunned. He originally did not intend to tell Leonardo the truth as he was worried that Leonardo would be disgusted. My grandpa and grandma immigrated here from Italy. My family eats awful, Leonardo said. I can even make lampredotto sandwiches, but I really can't tell what organ this is. It's also cow's stomach, but it's the inner layer. Oh, I see. Knock, knock. Just then, someone knocked on the door again. Chen Zhao opened the door and realized it was Melson. Melson, come in. No, I'm still working. I'm looking for Leonardo. I saw his car outside, so he must be here. Sir. Leonardo ran out hurriedly. Melson, I'm sorry. I forced Leonardo to come in. Don't worry. Chun, do you know if that victim had any conflict with anyone? Chen Zhao immediately thought of Qin. When he came back that afternoon, he saw Qin and Deppler arguing. However, Chen Zhao decided to hide it and answered, Me. I had a conflict with him. Anyone else? I only moved here for a month. I don't even know all the people in this town. In fact, I don't even know the victim before today. Okay, if you find out anything, remember to call me. I will. Chen Zhao invited again. Why don't you come in and eat with us? We're having a hot pot. Maybe next time. I still have to go back to the crime scene. All right then. See you. Chen Zhao sent Melson and Leonardo out. He noticed that opposite his house, Qin was also at his door, looking in their direction. Chen Zhao had an ominous feeling. It can't be Qin, right? He thought. To be honest, he really did not want Qin to get into trouble. Bant and Mary were both very kind neighbors, while Qin was a rather shy big boy. Chen Zhao did not think that Qin would be the murderer. Chapter 138, Imprint. Chapter 138, Imprint. The sky darkened gradually with misty rain. Qin walked across the street to Chen. He didn't seem to be well. Chun, what did the cop ask you? Qin, tell me, did you kill that person? No. Qin paled even more from fear. It really wasn't me. Believe me, it really wasn't me. I didn't kill anyone. Then where were you 3 hours ago? Qin's lips trembled. He was scared shitless. I was in Deppler's house. You were in his house? Doing what? Now, even Chen Zhao suspected that Qin had killed the guy. Qin buried his face in his hands. Chun, I really didn't kill him. You've got to trust me. Can you tell me what happened? I've been stealing stuff from the wine factory to gift to Deppler, Qin said, pained. Today, he asked me for money. He said that if I don't give him money, he'll tell everyone about this. He has evidence, so I snuck into his house to look for that. Chen Zhao couldn't help but imagine a story. Did Qin run into Deppler and, being so tall and big, kill Deppler to hide the secret? But if Qin really did that, he wouldn't say all this. Tell me the truth. You really didn't kill the man, right? Yes, it was not me. I was looking for evidence on the second floor and heard a noise below, so I went downstairs. I saw Deppler's body. I didn't know how it appeared in the room. When I first got in, there wasn't anything there. How did you get in? I know that he hides his key above the door frame. Did you see the killer? No, I didn't see anything. It was probably just a minute for me hearing the noise to going downstairs. I only saw Deppler in a pool of blood. Chen Zhao furrowed his brows. Do you think it's possible that Deppler and the killer came back together and someone killed Deppler as soon as they entered? And when you went downstairs, the killer was still inside the house. Ken paled even more. I don't know. He was very freaked out. After all, he just escaped from a crime scene. He may become the biggest suspect too. Chen Zhao was sure that Ken had left behind a lot that would work against him, such as fingerprints, hair, or skin cells. Ken wasn't a professional criminal. He didn't consider this at all. I didn't tell the police anything, Chen Zhao said, but I'll go to the crime scene to check later. You go home first. Don't think too much. Okay. Returning to his house, Chen Zhao called for Fei Lai. Fei Lai, drive me to town. He didn't believe that Ken was the killer, but he didn't feel it was safe for Fei Lai to be alone at home, so he called her along. What did you and Ken talk about? He might be in trouble. Big trouble. What exactly happened? Ken said that he was in that gangster's home when the killer committed the crime. Fei Lai drove to the crime scene. It was already sectioned off by caution tape. Chen Zhao stood outside. When Leonardo saw him, he walked over. Chun, Fei Lai, how come you're here? I wanted to see if there's any way we can help. Come in. Depler's home was a slightly old-fashioned house. It probably hadn't been repaired in a decade. There was a moldy smell as soon as they entered. The room was dim, and there was only a flickering light in the hall. There were many cops walking around, looking for the tiniest clue. His corpse was still in the hallway before the door. There was a big puddle of blood on the ground and stains all around the hall. It seemed like blood was splattered everywhere. Chen Zhao put Fei Lai behind him. Do you want to get some fresh air? No need. I'm not as weak as you think. Chen Zhao looked up. Leonardo, is the forensic scientist here? Not yet. Can I check the body? Please try to keep it as it was. I understand. Get me a pair of gloves. After putting on the gloves, Chen Zhao squatted before the corpse. He opened Depler's shirt and saw 2 holes in the chest. One passed through the back and the other was where the heart was. He must have been pierced through the back and was immobilized. Leonardo, when the forensic comes, they better test his blood. Why? The victim's injury should be an attack from the back, but it wasn't enough to make him unable to move or breathe. The weapon must have a highly effective anesthetic that can produce a numbing effect in a short time. Chen Zhao continued, also, the victim hasn't lost enough blood. Either the criminal took away the blood, or this isn't the first crime scene. Melson walked over now. Chun, you should come work for us as a forensic scientist. I can consider it if you give me better benefits, Chen Zhao said, smiling. Melson smiled wryly and shook his head. Forensic scientists had very low wages. Chen Zhao wasn't willing to sacrifice himself to work for the American people. Of course, forensic scientists could be a part-time job. Most of them were part-timers in America. How do you explain the surrounding bloodstains? Leonardo asked. The killer might have purposely spattered blood all over to stop the first crime scene from getting discovered. There seems to be a lot of bloodstains all over, but it doesn't actually need a lot of blood to do this. I think you guys can investigate where the victim went and who he saw before dying. The victim is clutching his heart in his hands. What motive can the killer have? I don't know. It should be your responsibility for finding that out, right? Mid-sentence, Depler's bloody heart slipped. Chen Zhao saw an imprint. He remembered this. He seemed to have seen it in the magic book, but he couldn't remember what it represented. What does this mark mean? Leonardo saw it too. The previous victim had a similar one, Melson said. Previous victim? The wanted criminal that killed himself by hanging, Melson said. Fei Lai looked at Chen Zhao. Now, she suspected whether the gangster's death had something to do with Chen Zhao. He'd mainly come to the crime scene to confirm if Ken was the killer or not. Now, he was mostly sure that Ken wasn't the killer, but this couldn't prove his innocence. The imprint that Chen Zhao discovered also reminded him of the gates of hell. Chen Zhao suspected that Depler's death had something to do with the gates of hell. On the way back, Chun, tell me that the asshole's death has nothing to do with you. Please, do you think I would hide it from you if I did it? What's with the imprint on the guy's hand? I'm not sure yet. I need to read the book, Chen Zhao said. Oh, I feel like the town isn't too safe. You should go live with Sienna for a few days. Chapter 139, Kin's Dark Past. Chapter 139, Kin's Dark Past. Phalai did not go to Sienna's house. Instead, she asked Sienna, David, and Chris to come over. The group sat in a circle in the living room, enjoying a hot pot together. As he ate, David said, "How can I miss such an interesting event?" As a supernatural event lover, he would clearly not allow himself to miss such an opportunity, even though in the last two supernatural incidents, running away was the only thing he did. Nevertheless, David never seemed to be tired of it. On the other hand, Sienna admitted, "I'm only here for the free food. Tell me if you need help." Chun Zhao looked at Chris. "How about you? Why are you here?" "I'm here to hinder your progress," Chris said. "Actually, Chris came here because she's scared of living alone," David explained for Chris. "Chris and I are working together now. She's in charge of finding customers, and I'll dispel evil spirits." Sienna's mouth was filled with food. "We don't have much money for now," Chris said, somewhat embarrassed. "Tell me what's the situation now." Sienna put down her bottle of beer. She could really eat all she wanted at Chun Zhao's place. After all, she could hardly have a satisfying meal. However, her behavior was nothing compared to David. David was pouring the boiling hot pot soup into his mouth directly. Chun Zhao stared at him, speechless. "Someone in the town wants to summon a demon," Chun Zhao said. "Summon a demon? Like the last time?" "No, it's more severe this time. The last one was only the projection of a demon via a medium. This time, there might be a complete demon. Can you settle it?" "While it might be a complete demon, it probably wouldn't be too powerful. I've asked a professional for advice," Chun Zhao said. "Which means you can end it yourself?" Sienna asked. "As long as the person doesn't summon a great lord or a demon king whatsoever, I can settle it with the help of my pets. Then why did you ask me to hide?" "I can settle the demon, but not necessarily the murderer. To complete the summoning ritual, I think that the murderer has to kill a few more people. If he shoots my head with a gun, I'll die too. So why are you even here? To create more trouble? If the murderer targets us, none of us can escape." "I have a gun as well. Don't forget I'm a cop," David said confidently. "Next time, you settle the supernatural things. Just leave the criminals to me." "But we still have to work, right? We can't be sitting here and investigating the murders in town all the time," Chun Zhao pointed out. "Don't worry about it. Leave it to me. I'll find the murderer for you." "No, I can't confirm if the murderer has any supernatural powers. You're not safe even with a gun. If you pay me, I'll team up with David for now. If he encounters any supernatural forces, I'll protect him," Sienna suggested. "Take this meal as your deposit." "What? I would rather set up a booth outside. Chris and I are so poor now that we can't even fill our stomachs." "I can understand your situation, but why is Chris also jobless?" Although Chris had resigned from her position at the clothes store, given her appearance and professionalism, it should not be difficult for her to find a similar job. "I feel that my life in the past was too plain. I like being with Sienna," Chris said. After a brief pause, she added, "Also, I feel safe around her." "Sienna, Chris, are you?" David sounded both shocked and bitter. "In any case, you wouldn't have a chance." Knock, knock. As the group chatted, they suddenly heard a knock at the front door. Chun Zhao went to open the door and saw Bant outside. Standing in the pattering night rain, Bant looked fairly panicked. "Chen just told me about the stupid things he did. What should I do? Should I call the police?" Bant said painfully. He did not even know if Kin was telling the truth and if he really did not kill the victim. "Bant, calm down. I just went to the crime scene. I can guarantee you that Kin is not the murderer. As for the things he did in the past, I can't comment on them." "Where's Kin and Mary?" "Mary is working as a maid for a family in Los Angeles. I don't dare to tell her about it. Kin's home. Come in and have some food. I've a friend inside, a cop. I've told him about it and asked him to help in the investigation." "Chun, thank you. I don't know how I can thank you enough." Chun Zhao patted Bant's shoulder. "Just relax and stop thinking about it. I'll try my best to help. Ask Kin to come here as well and tell my friend the details. Maybe it'll help." "Chun, will your friend?" Don't worry. He's just my friend now, not a cop. Bant nodded. He ran back and brought Kin over. After entering the house, Chun Zhao introduced everyone present. When it was Sienna's turn, she actively introduced herself and took out a name card. Hi, I'm a spiritualist. Feel free to find me if you need my help. She's the spiritualist that cleansed my house. I'm not too sure if she's good though, Chun Zhao said awkwardly. Kin, tell us the entire story. Maybe we can help you discover some details that you've overlooked. Kin glanced at Chun Zhao, still somewhat hesitant. After all, he had gone into a person's house alone and the person was dead. Don't worry. Since Chun said that you're not the murderer, I'll believe you, David assured. Kin, stop delaying. Just speak. Bant roared angrily. He was not polite towards his son at all. Depler and I were friends. We used to play and take drugs together. Kin lowered his head, not daring to look at his father in the eyes. But there was a period when I was broke and couldn't buy drugs. Depler incited me to steal from the winery. What did you steal? The winery's account book. Account book? Everyone was stunned. They thought that Kin must have stolen something valuable, not an account book. Depler wanted it. He said that someone wants the winery's account book. Who? I don't know. He didn't tell me who that person was. Since you've taken the account book, you must know the winery's situation. Did you learn anything useful? I slipped into Mr. Treed Pimpton's office and copied the account book with a thumb drive. I didn't look at it. Kin paused and then added, I sold it for $1,000. So when Depler threatened you and said that he had proof of your theft, he must be referring to this thumb drive, right? David questioned. Maybe. I'm not entirely sure. Chapter 140, Big Client. Chapter 140, Big Client. But the worst-case scenario still happened. The police had found evidence that Kin had entered Depler's home, and he was taken to the police station. He had become the prime suspect. Plus, he couldn't reveal why he was inside Depler's home. If he revealed it, it would instead prove that he'd killed the man to keep the secret. After all, Depler had threatened him before. It was logical for him to kill Depler. He also couldn't say that he and Depler were friends. The entire town knew that they'd broken their relationship. Kin couldn't explain why he was in Depler's home, so he was in danger now. They still handed this case to David to investigate because the others weren't experts in this field. He even took a few days off because of this. They also booked a room in the town's motel and ran to Chun Zhao's home for meals. David was understandable because he came to help, but Sienna and Chris weren't working with him. Did they come to Chun Zhao's house just to get free food? They ate and took everything. It was a bit too much. Today, Chun Zhao was going to go walk outside when Ethan called him. Chun, there's a big client and the problem seems serious. Do you want it? How serious? I heard from a peer that he's already looked for several doctors, but nothing works. What price? $30,000? That much? Then definitely. It's my first time getting such a high price. Give me the address. I hope you can do it. Ethan really wished that Chun Zhao could succeed. After all, if Chun Zhao did, he would make $6,000. An hour later, Chun Zhao reached the south of L.A. There were practically no houses here. It was the suburbs. After passing a densely forested road, a luxurious castle appeared before Chun Zhao. He'd thought that Rasfa's manor was already luxurious enough, but compared to this one, there was still some lengths to go. It felt like Rasfa was a nouveau riche, while the owner of this big manor was old money. Chun Zhao's driver was dumbfounded too, but after seeing the manor, he took the money and quickly drove away, leaving Chun Zhao here alone. Through the fence, Chun Zhao saw a man in black walking around, along with a woman dressed in a maid uniform. This was the true fucking elite, wasn't it? Chun Zhao rang the doorbell. The man in black walked over to the metal gate. Who are you? I'm a doctor. Ethan called me over. The man took out a walkie-talkie to ask if their boss had called for a doctor. A while later, he received a reply. Come in. The man led Chun Zhao into the manor while warning, follow closely. If you wander around, you might die here. Chun Zhao gulped. This was a bit scary. The men in black that patrolled the manor were all armed with actual bullets. He also discovered that there was a sniper hiding in the shadows. Before leading Chen Zhao into the mansion, the man searched him and had him go through a metal detector. "How come you have a pet in your box?" They'd opened Chen Zhao's toolkit, and two men in black stared at him as if interrogating a criminal. "He's my pet like those three," Chen Zhao answered, pointing at Walter, Beelzebub, and Carrie. "You can check my past records. You'll see that many of my clients know that I bring my pets along." The two men muttered amongst themselves. Then one of them turned and left. Around 20 minutes later, the man came back and nodded to his partner. "It's okay." Chen Zhao was finally allowed into the mansion. He was led into an elegantly decorated living room. Every piece of furniture and decoration seemed to be a historic symbol. A middle-aged man sat in the room. He wore a suit and had a small mustache and quiff. Chen Zhao wondered if people who had this hairstyle all had high hairlines. He seemed to be this manor's owner, or was at least someone important. "Asian, hello? Please sit." "Hello, sir. What should I call you?" "You can call me Sean," the man said. "Mr. Sean, I'm Chen Zhao. You can call me Chen. You should have all my information, right? Your information from America is set. You are a very good doctor, so I hope you can help me." "Mr. Sean, what is your ailment?" "Not me. It's my father," Sean said. "Can you bring me to see your father?" To be honest, this manner gave Chen Zhao too much pressure. It was as if even the maids hid a pistol under their dresses. "Can I see my patient?" Sean took Chen Zhao down a narrow hall and into another room. Chen Zhao saw his patient. He was an elder in a wheelchair, and he probably wasn't able to speak anymore. Judging from his eyes and trembling limbs, he had traumatic paralysis. Chen Zhao knew the general situation after a glance, but he still went forward to check the patient. He'd been paralyzed for at least 3 years. The muscles in his limbs were shriveling up. "Mr. Sean, what kind of injury did your father suffer before this happened?" "My father was hit in the spine from his bodyguard's gun in a close distance. The nerves were completely damaged. The doctor said that there's no possibility of recovering." "Mr. Sean, are you sure that an illegal doctor like me can heal your father?" Chen Zhao didn't think that Sean had invited him or the other doctors to cure his father. With the current medical level of the world, it was impossible to cure his father. The major hospitals had already confirmed it. Normally, he would be stuck in a wheelchair until death and unable to live alone. Of course, judging from his situation, he didn't have many more years to live. He was already old and his bodily functions were all failing. After sitting in a wheelchair for so long without being able to move, his muscles couldn't exercise and had shrunk. Chen Zhao predicted that Sean's father had half a year left. "I don't need you to cure my father. I want you to make sure he can live at least 1 more year." Sean didn't sound very sad. His answers were always calm. Old Sean on the wheelchair was calm too. He was paralyzed and couldn't even speak properly, but his facial muscles could still manage to move. However, he was emotionless toward his son's cold response. He even thought it was logical. "That's it." Chapter 141, 1-Year Commitment. Chapter 141, 1-Year Commitment. "That's it." Sean smiled. "Do you know how many doctors I've called already? None of them can guarantee he can live past next June. Indeed, according to my estimation, your father will live for at most 3 or 4 months. To be honest, death may only mean relief to him," Chen Zhao replied. "Nevertheless, I still think that I can delay his death." Chen Zhao did not know Sean's purpose. However, as an illegal doctor, he had to follow one rule: never ask the client's motives. The less he knew, the safer he would be. Sean's family was surely not an ordinary one. Chen Zhao felt that his entire family might be in the mafia. "But it'll cost more than just $30,000. I need to come here once every week," Chen Zhao said, looking at Sean. "Once every week, 30,000 each time. A reasonable price it is," Sean nodded. "However, should my father die within a year, his death will also mark yours." It was a blunt death threat. Chen Zhao glanced at old Sean and promised, "As long as it's not an accidental death, I can guarantee that he live." "Of course." With great risk also comes great reward. Chun Zhao indeed had to undertake an enormous risk, but if he managed to complete the task, he would receive at least $5 million after a year. After deducting Ethan's 20% commission, he would still get $2 million. Mr. Sean, let me begin your father's first treatment. Do I need to leave? No. Then let's start. Chun Zhao helped old Sean to dredge his meridians in order to improve his blood circulation. In fact, even without demonic crystals, Chun Zhao was still confident that he could delay old Sean's death. Chen Zhao spent 2 entire hours for the acupuncture. When he collected the needles back after 2 hours, old Sean's face was clearly more ruddy. Sean looked at Chen Zhao. He was now certain that Chen Zhao had not just been exaggerating. He took out the $30,000 cash which he had prepared earlier. Taking the cash, Chen Zhao said, "Thank you. I should leave now. Mr. Sean, if you have any medical needs in the future, you can call me anytime. Bye. Don't send Mr. Chun back to the city." Chun Zhao slapped $6,000 onto Ethan's table. Filled with excitement, Ethan almost leaped onto Chen Zhao and kissed his cheek, but Chun Zhao rejected him forcefully. "Chen, I knew you could do it. You're amazing." 6,000 was indeed a huge sum for Ethan. "Since you're so happy, how about treat me to a lunch out to thank me? We made many burgers. Let's eat here. The kids like my burgers too." "Stingy? You just earned over 20,000. Why not you treat me?" "Don't even think about it. You're Chinese. You should be more generous. This has nothing to do with nationality. I earn my money through hard work. Finding clients for you is hard work as well." Just then, Ethan's phone rang. After he answered the call, he said to Chen Zhao, "Look, another client, but not so much money this time. Only 500. Do you want it?" "What kind of client is it?" "Ukla. I only know it's a group of students. They probably got themselves into some kind of trouble." University of California is a public university system which comprises 10 campuses. Its main campus used to be in Oakland, but now there is no longer a main campus and all of them have the same level. UCLA, or University of California, Los Angeles, is one of them. "Oh yeah, Vincent is no longer driving, right? I heard that he's planning to become an actor. Did you help him?" "What's strange about it? Who in Los Angeles doesn't dream of becoming a star? Do you dare to say that you've never thought about it? Every Angelino is an actor. Indeed, Hollywood's development has influenced every corner of Los Angeles. Most people in Los Angeles have a job that is in one way or another related to Hollywood. Who would not want to appear on a screen in pure glamour and beauty? Even older people might have the same dream. It's a difficult path. At least he has the path before him," Chen Zhao said. Vincent had obtained this opportunity because of the relationship between Chen Zhao and Steven, but the opportunity would not be long-lasting. If he could manage to have a fantastic performance in his next 2 or 3 plays, perhaps an agency would find him and offer him more opportunities in the future. On the other hand, if his performance was only mediocre, he would return to his ordinary life. Of course, the key was whether the movie itself had a huge box office taking. If it was a very popular film, the characters inside would also look showy. Another possibility was if he was extremely lucky and a film just wanted a new actor as the lead. However, the odds were exceptionally low. There were indeed actors in Hollywood who became famous overnight, but no more than 1 or 2 every year. Moreover, Vincent's circumstances were rather special. Chun Zhao really hoped that Vincent would succeed. To this end, he was willing to help him whenever he could. Evely Model had been constantly persuading her roommate Diana Billis. At the moment, Diana's face was as pale as a sheet. Both of them were medical students, so they roughly knew how severe the situation was. "Diana, let me send you to the hospital. You can't delay anymore. Your situation is very dangerous." "No way," Diana answered stubbornly, gritting her teeth. Even though she was already very weak, she was still unwilling to go to the hospital. "Damn, if you insist on doing this, you'll really die." "I've already called a doctor," Diana said with a weak voice. "Are you an idiot? You've already been harmed by an illegal doctor, and now you're calling another one here." Evely roared in anger. We both read medicine. You should know the risks of finding an illegal doctor. They mostly have had no proper medical training. Some can't even distinguish the various kinds of scalpels. Do you know? I know. If someone finds out about my illegal abortion, all of my secrets will be exposed. I may even be prosecuted, Diana said. So you'll help me to keep my secrets, right? Evely seemed somewhat hesitant. As long as you're completely safe, I'll keep your secrets. However, if your life is at stake, I'll call an ambulance immediately. When will the doctor arrive? Chapter 142, Patient in Heat. Chapter 142, Patient in Heat. Qin Zhao reached the entrance of UCLA. However, the campus was close to 2 square miles, and he didn't know where his client was. He decided to call to ask. Hi, I'm the doctor. Are you my client? Where are you? I'll go pick you up. At the main entrance, Qin Zhao waited patiently. A while later, Evely model appeared before him. It's you. It's you. They both recognized each other. It was the college student Qin Zhao met on the train from San Diego to L.A. Miss Evely, you don't seem to be sick. From my preliminary judgment, you should be quite healthy. Qin Zhao looked like he was observing Evely's health, but he was actually enjoying her body. You better be careful with your eyes. Otherwise, I'll have the guys here knock your teeth out, just like how you were when we first met. You have boxers in your school? You don't even reach my school's average height for guys, and you want to fight? Evely said with disdain. You can find someone to try. If you get beaten up, there'll be no one to treat my friend. Aren't you a medical student? Why do you need an illegal doctor like me? Hurry up. My friend's in a bad situation. They kept bickering along the way, but Qin Zhao didn't dally. After reaching Evely's dorm, Qin Zhao saw Diana Bills, who was lying on the bed. He immediately walked over and grabbed Diana's wrist. You don't need to feel her pulse. Her uterus is bleeding. She went through labor induction? Qin Zhao asked, looking up. Yes. Illegal abortion? Yes. Even in a progressive country like America, illegal abortion still occurred. There were many reasons why people chose to do one, but it was obviously very dangerous. The sanitary conditions in many illegal clinics were horrible. The surgeons weren't very professional either. Abortions required high standards for the environment and surgery. If it was done in an actual hospital, it would be very safe and just a small surgery. But if done in an illegal clinic, it would become extremely dangerous. More than 100,000 Americans die from illegal abortions annually. Can I check under her? Qin Zhao asked. Yes, Diana answered in a weak voice before Evely could say anything. Qin Zhao took out a vaginal expansion device and started checking carefully. Her uterus seems to be infected. Did she take any antibiotics after the surgery? Most accidents after illegal abortions were due to the injury getting infected from the bad sanitary conditions. She's allergic to antibiotics. All antibiotics. She's allergic to most types of medicine, Evely said. Being allergic to medicine was the worst situation. She has a high fever of 101 degrees. I have to lower her temperature, Qin Zhao said. She's not allergic to alcohol, right? Right? Wipe rubbing alcohol all over her body. Alcohol was the fastest way to take away a person's heat. This made it the best method for physical cooling. What about her infection? I have some medicine I made myself. It should work. Are you sure your disgusting-looking medicine can work? It won't bring Diana to see God, right? The biggest possibility is that she's going to hell. In Western religions, abortion was one of the biggest sins. If Diana really died, she would have to go to hell. Evely huffed, clearly unhappy with Qin Zhao's words. Qin Zhao picked through his kit and chose a bottle of demonic medicine. What's that? My unique formula, Qin Zhao said. You illegal doctors just love having random formulas. If anything happens to Diana, I'm never going to forgive you. If something really happens to her, you'll be to blame as well. Miss, drink this. You'll get better. Diana sniffed the medicine. What's this? I can't tell the ingredients at all. I told you it's my own formula. Drink it. Are you sure I won't die? I promise. I promise you'll live nicely. Otherwise, I'll have to go to jail. It tastes weird. I'll add sugar next time. Qinzhao chuckled. You're so sweet. Where are you from? I'm from China. Can you be my boyfriend? I have a girlfriend. When you break up with her, can you date me? Why do you want to date a Chinese guy? You make me feel comfortable. Plus, you saw my body already. I'm a doctor. You're a med student too. You should know that doctors often can't help but touch a patient's body. Chunzhao wouldn't take a half-conscious patient's words seriously. Many patients would feel helpless and develop a reliance on the doctor. These may be Diana's genuine words, but after a while, she might not even remember that she said all this. Of course, rejecting Diana was mostly because Chunzhao didn't want to have another relationship. At least, he didn't know anything about Diana and he couldn't agree so impulsively. Evely glared at Chunzhao without saying anything. Diana, how do you feel? Better. Diana looked at Chunzhao. Do you have to leave now? After a bit. I need to observe your condition. Can you talk to me? Of course. What do you want to talk about? Chunzhao sat down beside the bed and looked at Diana with gentle eyes. Don't you want to know whose baby I aborted? If you want to talk about it. Chunzhao would never purposely probe into a client's private matters. Even if he was curious, he still had to respect their wishes. Diana rested her head on Chunzhao's thigh. She was a very pretty and youthful girl. Slowly, she told Chunzhao about her story. His heart felt heavy because it was such a sad past. However, he understood why Diana would choose abortion. She'd been drugged and raped. She didn't even know who the father was. Don't think that these girls are all very open. Not everyone was able to think lightly about these things. To most girls, what Diana went through was a catastrophe. Chapter 143. I'm her boyfriend. Chapter 143. I'm her boyfriend. Just then, someone knocked on the front door. Diana, Evely, are you in? Qinzhao found the voice somewhat familiar. Shit, it's the professor. Evely suddenly became very anxious. Chunzhao remembered. It was Wright, Ethan's grandmother. I heard you. I'm opening the door, Wright said again. Wright pushed the door open and saw Chunzhao, Evely, as well as Diana, who was on her bed with a blanket on. Hi, Wright, how are you doing? Chun, why are you here? You. Wright inspected the room. She saw the blood-stain-filled bin, the messy room, and Evely's nervous look. Diana, are you ill? Yes, Madam Wright. I'm not feeling well. Why didn't you go to the hospital? Or tell me about it? Right. Let's go and drink something together. Chin, you know that I can reject anyone but you. Let's go. Wright still gave face to Chen. However, before she left, she looked at Diana and Evely. Ladies, if you have any trouble, you can tell me. I believe I can help you. Of course, you can find him too. He's the only illegal doctor that I trust. Right, I'm flattered by your compliment. Qinzhao looked rather shy. He turned his head and looked at Diana and Evely. Evely, take care of Diana. Bye. Bye. Chun, is Diana all right? Not too good, but I believe she'll make it. Is it inconvenient for you to tell me? Right, you don't want me to go against my own professional conduct, do you? Since you said so, I trust that you wouldn't let anything happen to my student. Thank you for your trust. Chunzhao was really scared that Wright would keep asking. He also had no idea how to reply. Chun, do you want to teach in the university? Right, stop joking with me. I can't be a teacher. You're more than good enough. If you want, you can become a medicine lecturer here. I don't even have a medical license. How can I be qualified to teach the students here? Wright shook her head. No need for a license. I think that you are qualified, and so you are. Forget it. I'm satisfied with my current job. All right, I won't force you. After all, Wright was over 90 years old already. She knew how to deal with other people. Some things just cannot be forced. One has to differentiate between ideals and reality. For example, her student 4 always liked to idealize work and life. While Wright looked kind and gentle in front of Chen Zhao, Both students and teachers in the school would take the long way just to avoid her after noticing her. In this university, nobody was more senior than her. Half of the lecturers and even the professors in the School of Medicine were either her students or students of her students. To be blunt, Wright was almost like the empress of the university. After walking for a while, Wright was already tired. Chen Zhao held her arm, and they sat down on a bench nearby. "Wright, how's your body recently?" "Not bad, except that my waist would hurt every now and then. Do you want some acupuncture? It can relieve your pain for 1 or 2 months. Let's make an appointment. I still have a lesson later." "Okay. By the way, you seem to have your pets with you every time I see you. Is it your habit?" "Yup. I'm afraid that they'll demolish my house, so I have to bring them with me." "That student over there. Please buy us 2 cups of coffee." "Thanks," Wright instructed a nearby student directly. Chun Zhao was speechless. Wright was indeed the empress. "Yes, Professor. Right." Chen Zhao found it really special to drink coffee with a granny on a university bench. After they finished their drinks, Wright stood up. "Chun, I'm going for my lesson." Chun Zhao hugged Wright. "You have my number. If you feel unwell, call me anytime." "Don't worry, I'm a doctor too. Minor illnesses can't stump me." After Wright left, Chun Zhao was ready to leave as well. Before long, however, Chun Zhao was stopped. A few students who were rather fit blocked Chun Zhao's path with their hands crossed before their chests. "The Asian there, come here." Their leader was at least 9 meters tall and perhaps as heavy as Gaia. "What?" The Muscleman put his hand onto Chen Zhao's shoulder. "I saw you with Evely just now. Can you explain your relationship?" Chen Zhao rolled his eyes. It looked just like those TV scenes where a school bully encountered his love rival. "I'm her boyfriend," Chen Zhao replied with a smile on his face. "Yellow-skinned monkey, you don't deserve Evely. If you don't want to." Chen Zhao punched the bully in the stomach. The bully covered his stomach with his hands and knelt on the ground, vomiting his lunch out. "Kid, do you know how childish you are?" Chen Zhao squatted down before the bully and patted his cheek. "It's not embarrassing to challenge your love rival. What's embarrassing is that you can't beat him, and instead you're beaten up." "Horton, Dame, beat him up." Chun Zhao immediately grabbed the bully's shoulder and lifted him into the air with a single hand. Chen Zhao was half a head shorter than the bully, but now he was holding the bully with just one hand. The scene was indeed somewhat terrifying. The bully felt that his shoulder was about to be crushed, and his face was filled with pain. Let go of me. If you dare to do anything to me in school, I'll report you. Before you call the police, you better prepare a script first. Racial discrimination is no light crime. Should any of you leak it by accident, I will have no idea if you would be expelled by the university." Chen Zhao threw the bully onto the lawn. The students around him gave way and no longer dared to block his path. Of course, nobody dared to call the police. No one would dare to display any form of racism openly. If a university student was found guilty, no matter what his background was, he would be expelled. Chen Zhao dared to punch the bully in public precisely because of this. He did not know who the bully was, but even if his family was extremely rich, they might not be able to do much to Chen Zhao. Perhaps rich people could do whatever they wanted to legal organizations, but not towards the common man. Rich people certainly cherish their reputation. They would not use the special relations they had just because their kids had a fight in school. Chapter 144, Going to Hell at the School Entrance. Chapter 144, Going to Hell at the School Entrance. Macallan Bodie was brought to the infirmary by some football players. He wasn't badly hurt, but his shoulder and collarbone seemed to be dislocated. The students didn't know just how strong that Asian man was. He'd lifted all 200 pounds of Macallan with one hand. They probably couldn't even lift him with 2 hands. To be honest, they were all pretty strong students. They played football, after all. You couldn't play it if you weren't strong enough. But they really weren't good enough to fight aggressively. At most, they would bully the regular students, but they found a strong match this time. That Asian man had really scared them. More importantly, they were in the wrong. When the nurse saw Macallan, He thought they'd gotten hurt on the field. "McCallan, where you were hurt?" "Shoulder. My shoulder," McCallan said in pain. "I can't move my shoulder." The nurse Bell had McCallan take off his shirt. His shoulder was swollen already. "You didn't get hurt on the field, right?" "Yeah, someone squeezed me." "No way. How strong does someone have to be to squeeze your shoulder like this?" Bell checked McCallan's injury and took out an ice pack. "Ice it yourself? That guy is a monster. He lifted me up with one hand." "Is it even possible to lift you up with one hand with your size? That guy isn't even bigger than me, that asshole. Does he lift weights?" That was the only possibility that Bell could think of. Someone who wasn't as big as McCallan but could be so strong had to be a weightlifter. "He doesn't look strong at all, but he's Evely's boyfriend." "Oh, I see." Bell instantly understood why McCallan got taught a lesson. He'd probably gotten jealous and went to cause trouble but was beaten up instead. Bell pushed McCallan's dislocated bones back in place, making him howl in pain. "Bell, you're close to the boxing club, right?" No. Bell cut him off. "You're too immature. I won't help you." McCallan was hurt. It was the second time someone called him immature today. "If you help me contact them, I'll give you $500. Bell arched an eyebrow. He made less than $2,000 each month working here. To be honest, this wasn't enough for his everyday needs. Plus, he smoked weed occasionally. $500 wasn't a small number. It made him hesitate. However, if the school found out, he would lose his job. "No, I won't do something like this." 1,000. McCallan raised the price. 2,000. Bell gave in. "It's not easy to get Tiger to help. I hope he can knock that asshole's teeth out." "Of course, but I hope no one will know about this." "Of course. I don't want to get expelled either." Bell wasn't a gangster. He'd actually graduated from this school too. However, he liked to befriend all types of people. Many times, the students could ask him to help them take care of some small problems. This was also why the school always gave him low ratings. If not for the fact that he hadn't done anything major, he would have been fired long ago. When Chen Zhao exited the campus, a car stopped before him. Chris popped her head out. "Chun, how come you're here?" Chen Zhao looked inside. Chris and Sienna were both there. "One of my clients is a student here. What about you two? Why did you come?" "Our client is here too," Sienna said. "You want to come play?" "I'm a doctor." Chen Zhao rolled his eyes. "Chris, are you sure you want to go with Sienna on these dangerous trips? I find it interesting. Plus, I don't have a choice." "Chun, there's a cursed place here. Are you sure you don't want to come?" "How much is your client paying?" $3,000. Sienna blushed when she said that. To her, $3,000 was a big number. "Good luck and goodbye. Come on, maybe we need your help." Chen Zhao suddenly felt his right hand heat up. It was similar to when his hand swallowed the reflection demon. What was going on? Why was it acting up now? Chen Zhao raised his hands to look. They were turning transparent. Oh no! A demon in hell was summoning him, in broad daylight, in a public place. He quickly ducked into the car while Sienna and Chris looked at him curiously. As his body continued fading, Chris asked caringly, "Chun, what's happening?" "Sienna, do you know what's happening?" "I don't know. He looks like he's disappearing." "Don't ask any questions. I may need to leave for a while. It could be a few days or only a few hours." "Chun, what's wrong exactly?" He obviously wouldn't tell them that he was going to hell. It had always been humans summoning demons instead of the other way around. A few minutes later, Chen Zhao had disappeared completely. Only Beelzebub and the other small demons were left. They were used to this already. Chris and Sienna stared at each other. "I feel like Chun is getting more and more mysterious. I've never heard of this kind of magic before. Are Asian spells this strong? I feel like they're much more powerful than Western spells." When Chen Zhao arrived in hell, 3 familiar people stood before him. There was Beelzebub Sophie, his wife, the demoness with the fire dragon bloodline, and her servant, Jessica. "Human, welcome." Sophie opened his arms. He was honestly too big. His hug was like a mountain pressing down on Chen Zhao. "Lord Sophie, I think we must come to an agreement. Next time you summon me, please do it when I'm sleeping. When you do it suddenly, it can be troublesome for me. All right, I will ask Little Vito next time, but can you help me with a serious problem right now? Chapter 145. I'm entrusting my son to you. Chapter 145. I'm entrusting my son to you. Chun Zhao immediately got a headache from Beelzebub Zephi's words. Beelzebub Zephi was a great demon lord. How could Chun Zhao solve a big problem that even he could not? Was this great demon lord favoring him a bit too much? What is it? Beelzebub Zephi lifted his head and pointed at the sky above Obsidian Castle. An enormous creature was circling around the castle with his wings fully extended, occasionally throwing out pillars of raging flames from his mouth. It was the first time Chun Zhao saw a dragon that would only appear in Western mythology. He had red skin, a gigantic body, and continued attacking Obsidian Castle with his flames. This is the big trouble I was talking about. Lords of Fee, are you sure I can solve this problem? I'm no dragon slayer. I don't think I can settle it if even you can't. I'm not asking you to defeat him. He's my son, Abidos, whom you helped to deliver. What? He's your son? It's just been about 20 days since he was born, right? He has 2 noble bloodlines in his veins, so his growth is rather special. His fire dragon bloodline awakened first. Now, whenever he cries or throws a tantrum, he'll turn into a fire dragon and destroy everything around him. Since his birth, a few dozen of servants had been fried by him already. Even though Beelzebub Zephi was a great demon lord, he was still very much helpless because of his naughty son. How do you want me to help? I can't even fight him, let alone discipline him. You can summon him to the human world before he kills all the servants in Obsidian. What? Isn't he just trying to move the disaster to a different place? With your son's temper, I'll only kill myself by summoning him to the human world. Rest assured, because of the principles of the human world, his power will become much weaker and he wouldn't be able to threaten you. But how do I summon him to the human world? And it's his true form. I've never summoned an actual demon. As long as you offer sufficient sacrifices. Sacrifices? You mean souls? I have 2 souls now. Is it enough? Chun Zhao had received the souls as a token of appreciation from the mudman whom he had treated. He had no idea what these 2 souls could be used for. Don't worry, I can supply those. I have enough sacrifices, but you need to build a gate of hell first. Gate of hell? Maybe I can use that gate of hell, although it's not complete. I believe you'll teach me how to build a gate of hell, right? No. Gates of hell are complicated. By the time you learn it, Abidos would have become an adult already. Then how? I'll let Jessica go to the human world. She'll be building the gate of hell. Living Lord, this is my ritual implement. Please take it. Jessica offered her demonic ritual implement to Chun Zhao. But if I summon Abidos to the human world, he'll become my demon servant. Is that really fine? Of course. To become a living human's ally isn't a humiliation to Abidos' noble bloodline. Jessica will become my servant too. Are you sure it's fine? Jessica will only go to the human world temporarily. There's a time limit when you summon a demon with her ritual implement. Zephi, I want to go to the human world too. I've never seen it, Oris said. Oris, you can't go. You're a superior demon. I don't have enough resources to send you to the human world, unless I sell Obsidian Castle away. Projection. If only my projection goes there, we only need a small amount. No. The only way to go to the human world was to become Chun Zhao's demon servant. Beelzebub Zephi would let his son and servant become Chun Zhao's demon servants, but not his wife, not even her projection. Abidos, come down. Beelzebub Zephi roared. Abidos flew one round in the sky and then spouted a mouthful of dragon breath at Beelzebub Zephi. Chun Zhao could feel his legs trembling as he stood beside Beelzebub Zephi. He was also in Abidos' attack range. The next moment, a huge red screen appeared above the party. A pair of dragon wings had extended out from Oris's back and covered the group. While her body did not change, her wings alone were several times bigger than Obito's. Chunjiao wondered how big her true form was. Perhaps even larger than Obsidian Castle? Obito's. A fierce look flashed across Oris's eyes. As expected, Obito's obediently landed before Oris. After all, naughty kids were most scared of their moms. Obito's rubbed his head against Oris's body, as if he was displaying his affection. Obito's, this is Chen Zhao. You should remember him. He's the one who delivered you. Obito's approached Chen Zhao. Even though Chen Zhao knew that he would not be hurt, he was still stressed out by the enormous creature before him. Obito's seemed to have felt a familiar smell from Chen Zhao. Sticking out his large and hot tongue, he licked Chen Zhao's body. Chen Zhao felt as if he just had a sauna. Even his skin turned red. Suddenly, his arm started twitching, after which a mouth appeared on his hand. Oh yeah, what happened to my arm? You now have my bloodline, but because you're a human, you aren't able to completely merge with a demon's bloodline. Therefore, only your hand has changed, Beelzebub Zephi said. It can distinguish those who can threaten you from those who are harmless. Can I not control it? You can learn to control it. Anyway, Jessica will be beside you from now on. You can learn from her, Beelzebub Zephi said. Do I have to stay for another day this time? I'm afraid I can't change that. You can use this opportunity to know Obito's better. Chen Zhao really did not want to be with Obito's, especially when it was only the two of them. Nevertheless, Obito's really liked Chen Zhao, or at least he believed so. Obito's held Chen Zhao with his giant mouth. Then, he took off and flew out of Obsidian Castle. Ah! It was certainly not an amazing experience. Chen Zhao wildly waved his limbs in the air. If Obito's let go, he would fall down at once. Although he had no idea if he would die under the protection of the principals, he definitely did not want such an experience. Ada, don't you like to fly? Ada? Why do you call me Ada? Chun Zhao knew demon's language. He knew that Ada meant kin. You're Ada, Obito said. His answer really reflected the fact that he was just a child, pure and kind. Put me on your head. I don't enjoy being held by your mouth. Oh, then in the future, Ada will sit on my head. Chapter 146, Becoming a Dragon Knight Once in This Lifetime. Chapter 146, Becoming a Dragon Knight Once in This Lifetime. Obito's put Chen Zhao on his head. It was the perfect size for Chen Zhao to sit on. Chen Zhao felt that Obito's was more approachable than his parents'. However, his head wasn't that comfortable. The scales that stuck out were very hard. It felt like sitting on a sharp, rocky beach. Of course, Chen Zhao wouldn't complain about this pain. He felt like he was a dragon knight now. Riding this majestic and terrifying fire dragon satisfied his dreams. He still needed armor and a sword, though. Maybe he could borrow a set from Blackie's house. The next moment, he saw a conflict below him. Two demons were crazily attacking each other. Due to Chen Zhao's limited knowledge of demons, he couldn't tell what kinds of demons they were. One of them was like a mix between a lion and dog. It was huge, but the other one was multiple times bigger. It looked like an octopus mutant where the upper half was a human and the lower half was an octopus. The two demons had such a large difference in size, but there was no clear winner. They were equal matches. Amidst their intense fight, a huge shadow suddenly loomed over them. The two demons stopped immediately. They saw a huge dragon stopped above them, wings flapping powerfully. There was also a man on the dragon's head. The human had neither a demon's aura nor a dead aura. A living being. This thought immediately appeared in the two demons' minds. This living being must be very powerful. Otherwise, how could he tame a dragon to ride? Respected living lord, how may we help you? Oh, nothing. Keep fighting. We're just watching. Chen Zhao waved his hand. I won't interrupt your fighting. Suddenly, Chen Zhao saw a thick snake wrapped around the lion dog's waist. It was probably as thick as Chen Zhao's arm and had 9 heads. Was that a hydra? Chen Zhao knew that hydras from Greek mythology really existed in hell. However, they were quite rare. The hydra around the lion dog demon obviously wasn't as awesome as the ones in Greek mythology, though. He remembered that many formulas in the demonic medicine book required heads of the hydra. The demon on that side, "What's your name?" "Living Lord, I am Badak," the lion dog demon said. The octopus demon got a little worried. If the living being sided with Badak, he would be in trouble. "Would you sell that hydra?" Badaka's first thought was, this living being wants to fight over the hydra too? The octopus was even more worried now because their fight had begun because of this hydra. "I can pay you demonic crystals. Can I ask your price?" Badak was worried that Qinzhao would rob him, but he still wanted to try and know the price. "Quote me your price. I'm not really familiar with the prices in hell." "Respected living lord, will you really pay with demonic crystals?" "Yes. 50 years worth?" Badak suggested fearfully. 40 years. Sure. Badak immediately accepted this price. What he was afraid of was whether Qinzhao would forcefully take the hydra, not if he would give demonic crystals or not. Since Qinzhao bargained with him, it was less likely he would just forcefully take it. When Qinzhao took out a pile of demonic crystals, Badak and the octopus's eyes widened. It was a huge fortune. They probably wouldn't make so many demonic crystals in their entire lives. There was even a perfect crystal, a huge one. "Wait!" The octopus suddenly yelled. "Respected living lord, the hydra isn't his. I found it first. He stole it from me. You should pay me, not that despicable and lowly thing." "But the hydra is on him, not you." The octopus tried to approach Qinzhao to persuade him. Abidos lowered his head and opened his maw at him. "Bastard, move back. Do you want to die?" Abidos threatened. The octopus felt wronged. He actually was reasonable. "I don't care about your conflict. I just know that I will receive what I want. Take care of your own conflict." Qinzhao didn't care which demon would win or lose. The octopus didn't dare do anything to Qinzhao either. After watching Qinzhao and Badak exchange items, he turned to the latter. Stealing the hydra and demonic crystals were the same. They'd completed the exchange, but that didn't mean that Badak could take the demonic crystals away. After getting the hydra, Qinzhao hopped onto Abidos and they flew away in the sky. This hydra was very, very weak. It wasn't an adult yet, but hydras were very intelligent. It knew who to fear and respect. You didn't have to kill a hydra to use its head in medicine. You only had to cut off a head and it would grow back. Like the myth said, it wouldn't die unless all 9 heads were cut off at once. However, the young hydra was pretty weak, so Qinzhao didn't plan on using its head yet. "From now on, you'll be called Little Nine." Little Nine wasn't very brave. Its 9 heads only had one mind too, unlike the 3 hellhounds that had 3 independent minds. Little Nine wasn't a demon. It was only a hell creature, so Qinzhao only had to toss it into the spatial ring to take it away from hell. When he got home, David, Phalai, Sienna, and Chris were all there. "Chun, you're finally back. You've been missing for 24 hours. I heard from Sienna and Chris that you vanished before their eyes and went missing. Is that true? Where did you go?" "I can't answer your question. It's a secret." Qinzhao sprawled onto the sofa. "Get me some food. I'm so tired." "Why can't you tell us? Everyone has their own secrets. Let me have my own secrets, all right?" Fine. They could only accept the fact that Qinzhao didn't want to say anything. "Chun, I found some information." "What?" "I discovered that a deposit of $5,000 in Depler's account that is really suspicious. It's from the boss at the Demington Chemical Factory." "The chemical factory's boss?" "Yes, it was a month ago, or 3 days after Kin stole the wine factory's account book." Chapter 147, Investigation. Chapter 147, Investigation. "So the owner of the chemical factory wants the account book?" "That's very possible. The chemical factory has always wanted to take the winery's original location, so it's not surprising that they wanted the winery's account book," Phalai said. This was a widely known fact in the town. It was therefore also unsurprising that Phalai knew about it. And then the winery caught on fire. Could it be the chemical factory's owner? Chun Zhao started suspecting the owner too. Everyone looked at David. David, can you bring the factory's owner back to the station for interrogation? No, this area is not in my charge. We don't even have enough evidence, so I have no right to bring him back, I'm afraid. David shook his head. How about we capture him, beat him up real bad, and then question him? Chris suggested. She was a truly lawless woman. Chun Zhao was speechless. Great plan. Let's do this. Apart from Chan Zhao, everyone seemed to think that it was a good idea, including David. He even appeared to be fully ready for the strategy. Are you sure it's good? Chun Zhao really wanted to stop them, but everyone was already enchanted and filled with excitement. Chin, don't you feel like we're the protagonists in a movie? Charging into the face of danger just to find out the truth. Chun, the two of us will go and get the owner. Me? Am I part of it? We can't let 3 women do it, can we? What's your plan? Chun Zhao realized that calling them here was a grave mistake. I know where the owner of Dimmington Chemical Factory lives. It's a crime to break into someone's house. We don't have to. We can intercept him on his way home. There's a path that he has to take. How do we intercept him? Don't worry. I have a plan. Pierce South was driving home. He would have to pass a narrow road which was surrounded by a tall forest. However, when he reached the forest road, a tree was lying in his way. Seeing the tree, Pierce South could only leave his car to check the situation. The tree was not big. If he had another person with him, they would be able to move it away, but it would be too difficult to do so alone. Suddenly, however, 2 masked men charged out from the side of the road. They were extremely fast and managed to subdue Pierce South before he could even react. Let me go. Do you know who I am? The 2 masked men were of course Chun Zhao and David. Ignoring Pierce's roaring, they dragged him into the small forest right away. How much money do you want? How much? Pierce shouted in horror. We don't want money. David and Chun Zhao both had voice changers with them. They even wore 2 more layers in their coats to prevent Pierce from recognizing their sizes and voices. Then what do you want? You killed Deppler, right? David pretended to be furious. Deppler's our brother. He told us everything. You asked him to burn the winery, but you didn't give him the money as promised, and were worried that he would leak your secret, so you killed him. Pierce South was momentarily stunned, but he quickly came to his senses. No, I didn't kill anyone. I didn't even know that Deppler's dead. Pierce was not a resident of Mountain Town. Instead, he lived in a nearby town. Maybe it's not you, but it's definitely related to you. You must have used your wealth to ask someone else to do it, you murderer. No, you're mistaken. I admit that I was happy about the winery's fire, but I wouldn't have taken such a huge risk. It doesn't benefit me. Deppler and I were only partners. I only wanted to know the winery's operating conditions and how much my factory needs to buy that piece of land. How do I know if you're telling the truth? You better investigate the winery's owner. He's much more suspicious. Treed Pimpton? Why is that so? Many people in town thought that the winery's going to close down soon, but I saw the winery's accounts. In fact, the winery's been in a good condition and earning profits all along, but he kept claiming that the winery's suffering a great loss. Why would he do that? How would I know? Pierce looked at the 2 before him. You're not Deppler's friends, right? I know Deppler too well. He doesn't have a friend who's willing to avenge him. You know that I'm not the murderer. You only wanted to gain some information from me. Pierce lifted his head and stared at Chun Zhao. Although you've been masked and silent, I know who you are. You're the hero who saved a few people from the burning winery that day. You didn't speak because you're afraid that I can recognize your accent. Indeed, Chun Zhao had been quiet because he still had an accent whenever he spoke English. As for you, I don't know. Pierce glanced at David. He was not a god and could not possibly know David's identity. If you want to investigate Deppler's death, I think that the most suspicious person is Treed, the winery's owner. Do you think that your words can make you innocent? Who knows if you're just trying to blame Treed for everything? After all, everyone in town knows that you want to buy the winery's land and turn it into a chemical factory. The winery's fire clearly benefits you more. I said I'm a legal businessman. Turning the winery into a chemical factory is a good business opportunity for me, but it's neither the only choice nor the best choice. The residents of Mountain Town have always been against having a chemical factory in town, so we still have a few other choices. I don't have to kill someone or burn the winery down just to get that piece of land. They're way too risky for my company. Then why did you say that Treed is much more suspicious? First of all, as the winery's owner, he deliberately held the winery's real accounts back. It's already suspicious as to why he wanted everyone to think that his winery was making a loss. Perhaps Deppler found the secret out. Deppler being Deppler. Once he found someone's secret, he would surely blackmail the person. Thus, I think it's more likely that he was killed by Treed. Your suspicion against Treed can similarly be used on yourself. You hired Deppler to burn the winery down, and then Deppler used it to blackmail you. I said, my interests are clear. Before I burn something or kill someone, I need to have a sufficiently promising gain. A few millions is definitely not enough for me to take such a huge risk. On the other hand, Treed's motives are unclear, so he's more suspicious. Perhaps he even created the fire himself to hide something or achieve something. Hearing Pierce's words, Chun Zhao felt his heart skip a beat. He suddenly realized a problem. Chapter 148, Old Witch. Chapter 148, Old Witch. Before going to the gates of hell, Chun Zhao had heard Blackie mention it twice. The first time was when they'd first discovered it. The second time was when changes had occurred to the gates, and they'd realized that someone in town was doing some sort of ritual. The changes meant that someone was doing sacrifices. The fire had occurred after Blackie's first mention and before his second mention. 8 people died in the fire. Did they all get sacrificed? If this was true, the situation would become clear. Treed Pimpton had either caused the fire himself or had Deppler do it for him. He was clear that he had to face great compensations after the fire. He transferred his assets by hiding the state of the winery. If everything went smoothly, he could announce bankruptcy and then he wouldn't have to pay with his own assets. Deppler wanted to use this to blackmail Treed. Instead, it pissed Treed off. He decided to go full out and just sacrifice Deppler. Pierce South looked at Chun Zhao. It looks like you thought of something. Chun Zhao glanced at him and then said to David, let's go? You're leaving just like this? David glanced at Pierce. What, you want us to kill you? Fine, bye. Pierce shrugged. Chun, did you think of something? I feel like Treed might really be the culprit. Are you sure? No, I don't have any evidence. Tell me your analysis. After Chun Zhao told David his ideas and thought process, David was convinced. You said that there needs to be more sacrifices to complete the gates of hell, right?
Yes.
Chun Zhao nodded. How many lives are needed to complete it? 13. If the 8 victims of the fire were sacrificed, as well as Deppler, then there are 4 more. Or could the sacrifices have started before the fire? What do you mean? Have there been any other murders in Mountain Town before the fire? Any suspicious deaths? Chun Zhao suddenly remembered another case that had happened earlier. It had been a serial killer, though. On the surface, it looked as if the serial killer had committed suicide. Chun Zhao had still talked with Melson, who hypothesized that it wasn't suicide. Chun Zhao hadn't thought much about it before. After all, he was a wanted criminal that had nothing to do with Chan Zhao. Now, it seemed very suspicious. He told David, who thought for a moment and said, first, we must confirm whether the victim had been called to the town or had come here coincidentally. Chun Zhao's eyes flashed. The victim lived in a duplex. A wanted criminal can't be rich enough to live in a big house like that. Do you know the landlord? David asked. No, but Bant must know. Let's go ask him. There weren't many people in the town. It wasn't hard to find the owner of a house. After Chun Zhao and David returned to town, they went straight to Bant. Bant, are you home? A while later, Bant opened the door. He was very happy to see Chun Zhao and David. This was probably the only thing that could make him happy after Qin was taken away by the police. Chun, David, come on in. Bant, do you remember that wanted criminal that died in the duplex across from the restaurant? Yeah, why? Does it have something to do with Deppler's death? We suspect that it was done by the same person, so we want to know the owner of the duplex. It belongs to the old witch Winry Gargamel. Old witch? Yeah, she's a really weird and eccentric old lady, Bant said. No one in town likes to interact with her. She's scary. Chun Zhao exchanged glances with David. The nickname Old Witch made them feel like she was related. Does she do anything strange? There are always dead animals around her house. The one I remember the best is my childhood dog, called Kin. Wait, you said that your childhood dog was named Kin? Yes, that's why I named my son Kin. I named him after my dog. Okay, let's continue. I was only 8 years old. One day, I realized that Kin was gone. I looked everywhere and finally found that Kin was hanging before the old witch's house. My parents fought with her because of this too. If she did it, she wouldn't hang the dog in front of her house, right? I don't know if she did it, but my parents were sure. They said that the old witch has some past records. You're in your 40s now, right? 48. This means that this even happened 40 years ago. That old witch should be quite old now, right? I don't know how old she is, but she has to be much older than my parents. Your parents? My dad is 78 years old, so how old is older than your father? I think she was in her 60s back then. 40 years ago, Bant's father was 38 while the old witch was almost 30 years older than him. This meant that she was already over 100 now. Both Chun Zhao and David gasped. Bant looked at them. Chun, is this related to the old witch? I'm not sure yet, Chun Zhao said. Does she usually live in the duplex where the serial killer died? No, her house has been empty for a long time. I wouldn't have known that she rented out if that guy didn't die in there. Where does she live now? Outside of town. Do you want me to drive you there? No need. Just tell us the address. This might be dangerous, so don't get involved. No, I can't have you two take risks. Bant, don't act emotions and don't worry. David and I are pretty good at fighting. We can take on 3 or 4 guys like you, let alone an old 100-year-old witch. After leaving Bant's house, David asked, Chun, is there some spell that can make you live that long? I don't know. You should find an expert, like Sienna. But Sienna isn't as powerful as you. How would she know if you don't know? Not necessarily. How would you know that she doesn't know if you don't ask her? Fine, I'll call and ask. Chapter 149, A Deadly Weapon. Chapter 149, A Deadly Weapon. Chun Zhao and David stayed at home, waiting for Sienna's return. Half an hour later, Sienna and Chris came back. However, Sienna seemed somewhat clumsy. Her face was very dirty, and her clothes looked as if she had been rolling on the ground. Chun Zhao had no idea what she had just experienced. Sienna, what happened? Sigh. It's that old dormitory in UCLA. It's occupied by a small group of evil spirits which I can't settle. Chun, I've helped you so many times. Shouldn't you help me once too? How many times have you helped me again? That's not important. Shouldn't friends help each other? Chun Zhao thought over Sienna's suggestion. Even without their friendship, Chun Zhao would still obtain angelic crystals by killing evil spirits. After we get Kin out of the police station, I'll go to the place you just said. Hearing Chun Zhao's promise, Sienna's face filled with delight. Let's do it quick then. The pay for that job is quite high. What's the current situation here? We found out that there's a witch-like existence in town. David repeated Bant's words. Not witch-like. That old woman is definitely a witch, Sienna said firmly after hearing David's description. Also, I suspect that she's already dead. What? She's dead? That old woman should be a toxicologist. Her body's long dead, but she used soul binding to bind her soul within her body, turning herself into a ghoul. She must feed on living things' blood in order to maintain her bodily functions and not rot. Sienna seemed to be very serious. Chun, that old witch is surely stronger than me. Can you defeat her? I'm not sure either. If she's purely an evil spirit, I'm most certain that I can. But I have no idea how to deal with someone whom we don't even know is dead or alive. Is there anything special with a toxicologist? I mean, something that I need to look out for? She's now just a ghoul. Even without sorcery, She's more dangerous than the most ferocious beast on land in terms of close combat. Guns are ineffective against her. Secondly, her soul has already turned into an evil spirit. You said that witches can become very dangerous if they turn into evil spirits, right? David recalled Sienna's words in the past. On their third night protecting Aisha, Sienna had said that should a witch turn into an evil spirit, she would become exceptionally powerful. Even she would not be able to defeat the spirit. Correct, Sienna nodded. Moreover, toxicologists are adept at using magic poisons and curses, therefore making them more threatening than the other classes. All in all, this old witch has already become the most deadly monster. Hearing Sienna's words, David could not help but swallow his saliva and look at Chun Zhao. Actually, I have something that can cause massive damage to evil spirits or even kill them directly, Chun Zhao said, but I'm not sure if it works on a ghoul. What is it? Chun Zhao took out some angelic crystals from his spatial ring and put them on the table. Everyone stared at the white crystals of various sizes before them and then looked at Chun Zhao, puzzled. What are these? That's not important. Anyway, they're very deadly against demons and evil spirits. Sienna took out a piece of angelic crystal. It's filled with a sacred scent. I know what to do. What? I'll do it, but I need some time. How long? Maybe 1 or 2 days. The main problem is difficulty finding the materials I need. What do you need? Perhaps I have them, Chun Zhao said. No, I promised you that I'll help you. Anyway, just leave this to me. Sienna interrupted Chun Zhao's speech. Also, most importantly, even though we know that the old witch is the real culprit, how do we help Qin to clear his name? Chun Zhao added. If we tell the police that Deppler was killed by an old woman who's over 100 years old, we'll probably be arrested first, right? Chris commented. Not if we can obtain some key evidence, David said. Chun, did you say that the winery's owner, Treed Pimpton, is involved in all this? It's merely my suspicion for now. Can't confirm it yet. While Chun Zhao really suspected Treed, he had no solid evidence to prove his guess yet. Then we'll let them expose themselves, David suggested. How? Let them know that I'm investigating them, and then show up in front of them. Perhaps they'll take me as a sacrificial offering in order to conceal the truth. Frowning, Chun Zhao shook his head and rejected. It's too risky. Let me be the bait. Chun, don't forget that I've taken your potion. I'm at least twice as strong as a normal person now. Can you survive a bullet? Air. No. So it doesn't matter how strong you are. Just then, Feilai came home. The conversation came to an abrupt stop. Feilai scanned everyone in the living room. Is there something going on that you're not telling me? No, said everyone in unison. So you are hiding something from me, Feilai confirmed. It's useless for you to know it. There's an old monster in town, so Feilai. Starting from tomorrow, Walter will be with you. Chris, you'll have Carrie. David, you'll be frequently on the roads, so Beelzebub will follow you. Sienna, bring Raymond with you, Chun Zhao said. They were overjoyed to be able to get a pet each. In the mirror ward last time, they saw for themselves how terrifyingly powerful these pets were. David, Sienna, don't count on Beelzebub and Raymond. Under normal circumstances, they're just trash. Woof woof. Beelzebub barked to display his dissatisfaction. Chun Zhao rolled his eyes at Beelzebub for his reaction. But they're more sensitive towards danger. If they realize there's imminent danger, turn around and run. Do not hesitate. Chun Zhao kicked Beelzebub. When this is over, I'll reward you. If you ruin it, I'll fry you alive. Hearing Sienna's description, Chun Zhao had already realized that the current situation was entirely different from the last few times. The first time, although there were a lot of horrifying enemies, Blackie was with him. Blackie was truly an evil spirit buster, after all. It did not even matter how many evil spirits there were. The second time was in the Reflection Demon's ward. While the Reflection Demon was indeed strong, Beelzebub and Raymond could also use some of their real powers. Moreover, Chun Zhao's gluttony bloodline was activated, and he devoured the Reflection Demon's projection directly. This time, however, Beelzebub and Raymond were of little use. Carrie was suppressed, and would also not be able to unleash her full power. Walter was even worse, being only able to use brute force. The team was at a severe disadvantage against a ghoul. Therefore, in the end, Chen Zhao could only hope that angelic crystals would be effective. Otherwise, Chen Zhao could only take out all his demonic ritual implements and summon a demon army. Nonetheless, he still wished that the situation would not be that bad. A demon army would look really stylish, but he would become broke afterwards. Chapter 150, Another Problem. Chapter 150, Another Problem. Chen, won't you leave one behind to protect yourself? I have one, but you can't see it. An evil spirit? No, I'll be able to see it if it's an evil spirit. Sienna looked at Chen Zhao in confusion. The thing you said, is it beside you? Yeah, really? Is it some really small animal? And that's why I can't see it? No, he's right here and he's not small at all. Then why can't I see it? That's not my fault. Sienna was very caught up on the thing protecting Chen Zhao that she couldn't see. Reality had already proved that Chen Zhao really was more powerful than him, but Sienna still wanted to compete with him at times. However, she always took a blow. Many times, she even suspected that witchcraft really was weaker than Asian magic, and that was why there was such a big difference between them. One night passed. David hugged Beelzebub while speaking. According to him, this was to cultivate a relationship. He didn't care if Beelzebub wanted it or not. He wanted to cry and just bite David. The next day, Beelzebub was dragged out by an excited David. Chen Zhao was also woken up by Ethan's call. Ethan sounded depressed. Usually, they would banter a little while calling. Today, Ethan only told him to come over and then hung up. After washing up, Chen Zhao went straight to Ethan's motel. When he got there, he saw Ethan and Caprice sitting at the front desk. They weren't arguing at all. Technically, they would never be able to exist peacefully. Hi Ethan, Caprice. Did you eat breakfast yet? They both looked up and stared coldly at Chen Zhao. He got goosebumps from those eyes. He hadn't pissed them out, right? What's wrong? Did I do something? Philip Quinn was released from jail, Caprice said. Who's that? Chen Zhao was utterly confused. And what did it matter to him that someone was released from jail? He didn't know any Philip Quinn. It's that old motherfucker I had you treat in jail, Caprice said. Oh, I remember. It's that old pervert with a whole lot of crimes, right? But what does this have to do with me? I remember you said that he won't be freed if no problems were found in his physical exam. Yes, but he bribed practically everyone. He was obviously much healthier after taking your medicine, but he's still able to be treated outside. This means that he received both freedom and health. Caprice's features twisted. She looked like a furious lioness. Her lowered voice was like a low growl. It seemed like angry fire would shoot out of her eyes at any moment. Hearing her words, Chen Zhao felt very uncomfortable. This meant that he'd healed an asshole that should have gone to hell, relieving him of pain. I was following your request, Chen Zhao refuted. I didn't know this would happen. How long will the effect of your medication last? A long, long time, Chen Zhao said, depressed. Unless anything unexpected happens, he'll be healthy for a very long time. How can you do that? Caprice pointed an angry finger at him. You told me that you wanted him to stay longer in prison, Chen Zhao shot back. Okay, enough. Ethan stood up. You two stop caring about this. I'll take care of it. Ethan, where are you going? There was something off about Ethan. Seeing him walk out alone, Chen Zhao immediately grabbed onto him. But when he grabbed the corner of Ethan's shirt, he realized there was a gun stuck in the pocket. Ethan, what are you doing? Kill that bastard, Ethan said coldly. Why? What is he to you? You guys have something? Chen Zhao felt like this separated couple both had a hatred deep to the bone for Philip Quinn. Ethan looked at him. Robio had a little sister, but she died when she was 2 years old. Chen Zhao's face darkened. He remembered that Caprice had told him that Philip's crime included raping 2 young girls. One of them had died. Ethan, if you trust me, hand this to me, all right? Please don't get too worked up. Chen Zhao looked at Ethan seriously, holding onto his shoulder. Trust me, please. No, this has nothing to do with you, Ethan said seriously. Even if it is related to you, you have no duty to help me. This is my own problem. Trust me, I can make him wish he's dead without needing to take any legal responsibility. Chun Zhao was still holding onto Ethan's arm. I can do it. Did you forget my other identity? I can torture him for life. That asshole has a lot of bodyguards, Ethan said. You can't even get close to him. Give me 5 days. If I still can't do anything after 5 days, I won't stop you from doing anything. Ethan looked at him hesitantly. 5 days? What are you going to do? Just trust me. Chun Zhao was muddled too. He had no plan at all, but he couldn't just watch Ethan run with a gun and kill a rich guy. Chun Zhao suspected that, with Ethan's skills, he would get killed before he could even get close to Philip. From Caprice's explanation, Chun Zhao learned the reason why Philip was released from jail. There was no problem with his physical exam, but his mental test revealed that he had depression and needed a relatively safe environment. Thus, Philip's lawyer requested him to be treated outside the prison and paid $1,300,000 in bail. Imagine this. An old pervert who kept raping young girls for decades actually had depression, and he was freed because of this depression. America's laws made Chun Zhao speechless. How could human rights be taken advantage this badly? Rich people could do anything. For someone like Philip, $1,300,000 was only 1 or 2 months of expenses. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.